Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture and imprison innocent people.
You cannot shake hands with a clenched fist.
Produced by a nuclear exchange would be carried by wind and water and soil and seed to the far corners of
the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We're not saying that planet Earth is coming to an end. We're saying that planet Earth is about to be refurbished, spaded under, and have another chance to serve as a garden for another civilization.
Most of the people in here are just your reflections. They're your mistakes.
1776 will commence again if you try to take our firearms.
1 million of the planet's 8 million species are threatened.
You are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act.
Your lives and the credibility of the United Nations is at stake.
Epstein didn't kill himself.
The reason this is such an interesting time is not only because we're on the threshold of the end of this civilization.
They're trying to take you out with bullshit.
The experience of the past 2 years has proven beyond doubt that no nation can appease the Nazis.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish.
In the language of the U.S. Department of Defense, these are unidentified aerial phenomena.
Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This is the Garden of Doom.
Welcome back to Garden of Doom. This is episode 39 with our non-routine expedition continuing with our non-routine expeditioners. And like the Marshals, we are down to 3 this week. We got rid of Chaka. Mark Hammer's not joining us. So it's just Rick, Will, and Holly taking up the reins this week and continuing our journeys. So let's say hello to our all-star panel, Sans One. So Aaron, say hello to the good folks. Aaron?
Sorry. Nice to meet you all. Little tech impaired.
Great. Well, you're like me anyway. I had my own tech issues earlier, so I guess I can't, wag any fingers. And Sharon, welcome back to the show.
Hello.
All right, there you go. See, no tech issues there. She's our smarty. And by the way, folks, as you remember, or maybe not, Erin is our pediatric occupational therapist, and Sharon is she's an art museum docent, she's a former science teacher, and she's a permaculturist who had us watch a documentary this week, which I watched also, and it was actually quite good. It was called Kiss the Ground, so she recommended it to me, so I commend it to you all. And Sharon worked herself into a shoot. Hey, Erin, how are you? We can now see Erin turn on her camera. Sharon's going to do a solo show like Mark did, and she's going to teach us all about perma-ecology and permaculture and all sorts of other fascinating stuff. Maybe we'll go into some of the art and other things too, and she'll also dispel the flat earth theory and all sorts of stuff that is going to be great. Before we get into our journey, I have a couple of programming notes. I really don't know how many people tune in for any particular episode or not, but since I do promote things, I figure some of you might. The Luciferian episode that was slotted for next week is going to be postponed. I have had back-to-back interviews. Episode 37 already dropped. Episode 38 by the time you guys hear this obviously will have already dropped. Yes, this is 39, but in real time I have not dropped it yet. And then I'm going to be dropping 39. So I already have basically 3 shows within a week's time. Obviously, by the time you hear this, most of that will be past tense. And I'll have already conducted at least one more interview, if not more, with the Nephilim Anthropology Conference speakers that are coming fast and furious, because the conference is, of course, April 24th. So the Luciferian episode's going to be postponed, and it's probably going to be in late May. So, but no fear, those Bobby Blades and Inhuman Experience fans out there, and I know you're out there, he will be back, and it actually does him a favor because he's on a delay as well, so he needed the break too. On a technical note, as some of you might know, I switched from the joint account with Shah, where he hosts a couple of podcasts, including Breaking the Apocalypse. Listen to that show, support them on Patreon, and got onto my own Spreaker account. What I did not realize is that I had to re-upload the show for submission to all of the accounts. It automatically goes on Spreaker, but every other one, it has to go through the process, some of which are automatic, but as you may figure, the automatic ones don't have much in the way of screening. I finally figured out how to do the Apple one. I'm not the most tech-savvy person, so it has not been on Apple yet, but hopefully that will be resolved any day now. And then there's one more semi-large carrier that I have to start the process with. So for those of you who have been having more difficulty finding it, you had to go to Spotify, you had to go to Spreaker, which are free apps as well, but you use Apple. Fear not, I'm anticipating approval any day now, and they should start automatically dropping with the new show art, which hopefully you've already seen or doesn't scare you, but it is ours. All right, so that's that. Back to our non-routine expedition. Wait, sorry about that. When we left off, we learned that Enoch was fallible, a bit Vulcanesque, bit of a dick, but teachable. But he would also forget the lessons that he would learn rather quickly, much like the Marshals themselves. Certainly Rick. Meanwhile, we learned that the Marshals at their core were pretty selfless people, generally speaking. So, aww. And now we go into episode 7, titled Album, and I note that it's still just Wesley, not Wesley Ure. So that, and just no spoilers, but through episode 12, so I don't do this every single time, he remains one word, Wesley, giant star. So the show opens up at the high bluff where we hear an eerie noise. Will is woken up from a distressed sleep. He's drawn outside to the sound of the jungle. Rick emerges, but he doesn't hear the noise. And so let's take it to our panel. And why don't we start with you, Sharon? What do you hear from there? You're on mute.
I was on mute because I was talking here. I didn't want to interrupt your
You're allowed.
Recording.
You guys are allowed to interrupt me.
So my whole family's home, so just in case anybody pops in, letting you know, I'm sorry. Okay. So anyway, I don't 100% remember album, so I feel like I need a little more. Storyline, and then I can pop in. I'm sorry.
That's quite right. Erin, do you want to take it from here, or are you like Sharon and you'd like me to go a little bit more into the story and then you can chime in?
Whatever works for you. I actually have notes on it, and
then why don't you take it from there? I'm sure everyone's tired of hearing my voice on that.
I just thought it was kind of neat how they used the 1950s radioactive music to try and. That's when they were getting the word out of their cave, and they had to go do their chores. It's just one of those things where.
Erin, can you turn up your speakers? Can you turn up your volume some?
Is that better?
Much.
Okay. Sorry. Now I'm going to shut the video off. So yeah, it basically was back in '74. You had all those shows like Little House and Good Times and Chico and the Man. So chores were expected, and it's a huge theme in this, which is it's also kind of funny to look back in 2020. Like, it seems pretty reasonable for when we were kids growing up, but with working with kids, I don't know many kids that have chores, or they do, but it's not a bunch. It's not a bunch that they do.
Damn millennials.
What?
So we can all be old people shaking our fists at clouds here.
Yeah, seriously, it's one of those things. It was kind of a nice reminder in it, and with having teenagers, it's kind of funny. Well, could you mow the lawn? We're not talking by hand here, people. We're talking with a mower, but I just thought those things were kind of neat with that. I thought it was really weird that Will doesn't tell his dad or Holly about dating his mom.
All right, you have skipped like all the way ahead, so I'm gonna just detach your rail, and I'm gonna jump in here, because we know that Rick.
You know what? Can I just? Do you mind if I just say something about her comment about the chores?
I do not mind.
So I actually like how you kind of made that connection. Honestly, I'm watching these and I'm just watching the story. I don't think of all the things that you guys do, so I like that perspective. What's funny that you said that is that when I watch that they have the chores, I'm rolling my eyes. It drives me crazy. I'm like, you're in, like, you don't even know where the hell you are, and you care whether they're doing chores. Like, they have chores. What are your chores? You live in a cave. Like, I don't know what, and it's like, my kids don't have chores because I don't ask them to have chores. You know what I mean? It's like, it's me. I'm not going to, make a fist and be like, those kids, because they're my kids and I never made them have chores. And the word chores, like homework, some words just really rub you in the wrong direction. So I feel like that word just, I don't know. And that's so funny that you brought that up, because in my head I'm watching it and going, really? You're making your kids have chores? You're in the middle of this dreamland. Like, I don't know. It's just, I laugh every time I see that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess for me, it's that, it's that Mike Brady dad thing. So instead of saying, if you don't get the water, we're going to dehydrate and die, it's framed as chores instead of survival techniques. If we don't get food, we're not going to eat. So,
but I feel like you don't have to explain that to kids. Like, I feel like that's, like, I mean, kids just know if you don't have food, you're not going to eat. If you don't have water, you're going to, like, at their age, they know that. I don't know. I just feel like.
Well, I want to say that.
I'm just responding to what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I feel like it took the scary out of it and kind of like normalized it. Like, we're at home and we have chores, as opposed to.
Oh, okay. That's a good point.
Like, I just thought it was kind of like a normalizing thing instead of. Because there were a lot of shows at that time, like Lost in Space. They were still parents, even though there were these dire circumstances. It just seemed to be a big theme, like in the 70s. No matter what was going on, we're still the parents.
No, absolutely. It was absolutely to normalize things. And just since everybody's thrown their own hat into it, we didn't use the word chores. And I mean, it's not like me and my brother had set chores, but we were expected to clean our rooms and pick up after ourselves and, help out some. Right. And those were not, we didn't use the word chores. But
that's like in my house. We just don't use the word chores.
Yeah, but in the Brady Bunch and places like that, they use the word chores. And, like the Partridge Family and the Brady Bunch was probably the first time I had heard that word chores. And I still don't know where it comes from. I should look into that one day. But the interesting thing about this and this whole chores thing, while it might seem like a digression, it really isn't, because it ties into this episode, because chores were a big part. This story had sort of, your plot A and your plot B, and they were related. And plot B involved the food that was being stolen out of High Bluff, and they figured it was a mouse. I didn't know that there were any little mammals in Land of the Lost, but okay, there's big mammals, so why not? You've got the Pakuni, and this mouse stole food out of their supplies 3 nights in a row. And so they surmise instantly that must be the noise. So Rick suggests that Holly, because Rick really doesn't do much, though we do find out later on he does have some chores, though I'm never clear as to what those are, that Holly build the trap and that she capture the thief. And he discusses strategy with Holly, and, it's sort of like a father-daughter moment of parenting. He's sort of guiding her, what does the mouse want? Food. Oh, that's the bait. Oh, what should I use for the bait? Well, what's the mouse stolen? Oh, the carrots. We can use carrots as the bait. Like, she's a moron. She's already done smarter things than this. And what do we use to trap him? Oh, we can turn the bowl upside down. Now you've got it, Holly. Great. I mean, they're like a family of scouts. I mean, basic traps, I think, would be part of what they're doing. And in the 70s, I mean, everybody knew the cartoons from the 60s where you had the little trap with the stick and the box or the bowl and the string, and you pull it, and there it goes. anyway, that was part of it. And then we also swiftly learn that their garden has weeds in it that grow, well, like super weeds on steroids. And pulling the weeds is one of those said chores, but that's Will's chore. He's pulling the weeds, and then he hears the noise again. So he sort of gets into a trance, and this is where he sort of walks over the chasm and into the Lost City by himself. It doesn't get weird as to why he's not telling anyone yet, because he was sort of in a trance. I don't know if he had control over this, or if it was like the siren's call to Odysseus and the crew, or what was going on. But he walked right past the Beware of Sleestaks sign. He goes into the Lost City. Alice is roaming, and Will is, I don't know, even in his trance, he's adept enough to sort of play hide and seek and hide behind the Stonehenges or whatever, and the gates, and he makes his way into the city and the tunnels. So I don't know, Sharon, has this jarred your memory enough yet, or should we continue proceeding with sort of the opening moments of the show?
Is this the one where he goes in the cave and is that what you were saying, and then he sees his mom?
Yeah, that's this one.
Yeah.
Hence the album. So we'll go a little bit further. So he sees the dead crystals on the table. Presumably it's the same control panel that Enoch used in the last episode. But Will finds one live blue crystal, and it calls a mist up. And then there's a woman that appears beyond it, and she's beckoning him forward. And he looks in sad disbelief. So we don't know exactly what's going on. She doesn't say any words yet, but you sort of figure it's certainly someone that he knows, or at least, I guess seeing any other human being would cause that kind of response. Meanwhile, Holly's working on the trap. And Rick, the great father that he is, finally notices that Will is missing and decides they should find him. They find him without problem. Somehow, as usual, they know exactly where he is and find him within moments. Now, this is where Aaron was going with things. Will doesn't reveal what he saw or he forgot. It's not entirely clear, but he's keeping stuff to himself.
Or if he was in a trance, like, you think maybe he just, I don't know, was like taken out of the trance?
It's entirely possible.
Do you remember?
What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I mean, he definitely seemed like he was in a trance when he went there, but when he comes back, I can't remember it's this time because he goes more than once, but you find out later he's definitely aware of it. He definitely knows what's going on.
Yeah, if he went back, then yeah. Actually,
so the first time I wasn't clear on it, what had happened, but I guess the second or third time you kind of realize, yeah, he knows what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I took from it too, is that it got clearer later on that you remembered the experience. So he was just keeping it to himself, but then again, maybe you get used to the trance state, just like you build a tolerance for, alcohol or anything else out there.
I think it's also interesting that the mother's dead, that's their family unit in the 70s. I don't really know that like these days, if parents are divorced or one parent is dead, it's just more, I don't know, like it's more of the norm to have one parent, but I feel like back then, you have a TV show.
Sure.
They had one parent.
It's definitely noteworthy.
2 kids. Like, I wonder what was the thinking behind that story, you know what I mean? Just having...
Well, the
dead mom. That's kind of sad and scary for a kid to be like, your mom can die. Like, I don't know.
The Brady Bunch, that both of the parents were dead too. They were both widowers.
Oh, that is actually very true, but it's almost not really acknowledged because you come into it where they're married. So
in Disney movies too,
that was a really good point.
Mom always dies. I mean, that was a big thing.
Oh yeah.
You never see a mom in a Disney movie. Almost all of them get killed off.
Well, the Partridge Family, was there a dad in the Partridge Family?
No, he died too.
Right, there's no dad, and Chico and the man. The man, there was no mom. Sanford and Son, mom was deceased. Elizabeth?
Chico and the man, the wife died, the mom died.
What's Happening? I don't think there was a dad in What's Happening. Good Times was a nuclear family. I don't know. Yeah. We could find a whole bunch of it. But, I mean, it's the 3 points, you have Marshall, Will, and Holly. You've got 3. You've got the 3 moons. You've got the 3 doors to the Lost City. You've got the pylon, which is basically a distorted pyramid, so the 3 points. And it all goes back to the Trinity. I'm completely full of shit right now. I would love to find deeper meaning in this. My guess is they just didn't have a budget to pay a mom. And
that, or it could have been limited because they only had the 3 Sleestak outfits.
That's right. Yeah, again, the holy triad. So we'll see. The triumvirate of terror. So now
3 is a magic number.
3 is a magic number, indeed. It's a prime number, and all prime numbers are magic numbers, as we know.
Actually, that was just my reference to the 70s Schoolhouse Rock.
You know what? But where do you think Schoolhouse Rock got that reference from? Why do you think 7 is a lucky number? Okay. That's right. Well, listen to episode 38 of Garden of Doom. We explore that.
I will have to go back and check.
Well, you won't go back and check because it hasn't dropped yet. But I actually, at the time anyone else hears this, it will be going back. So we're in our own little land of the lost where we've got dueling timelines here. It's hard. More respect to the Marvel Universe for pulling that off. Speaking of pulling things off, Holly's at home cooking dinner. And what's she cooking again? The running joke that's not funny. Carrots. The trap didn't work. So Rick, keep trying. He gives advice on how to improve the trap. The problem was there was too much food around. Duh! They didn't clean up the place. There's food everywhere there. It's like a warehouse. It's a cave full of food. I mean, why would anyone go to the trap when there's abundance of food everywhere? So Will's working outside again, and now Holly sees Will wandering off when the trance hits him again, but she follows him. So, Holly, everyone says, why Holly stay home or Holly don't follow, and we always criticize Holly for following, but I would say 5 out of 6 times that Holly follows, it turns out to be a net positive.
Yeah.
Holly is the unsung hero of Land of the Lost. Maybe we should sing.
Yeah, she's usually the one that sets off the alarm at some point.
Yeah, maybe we should write a tribute to Holly song before we finish this series. Sharon, I'll put you on that.
We actually need to put out a thank you to Hugh Sullivan, because he's the dude that put all those episodes on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you, Hugh Sullivan, wherever you are. Hopefully you're a fan. If not, maybe this gets to you and you write in. Garden of the Doom Facebook page. Read the articles. Stay for the fun.
I think that it's amazing that in 7 episodes we figured out that Holly is the hero. But clearly the older brother doesn't figure that out, because there's always an argument. Please, can I follow you? No.
He's just jealous. And by the way, we've all seen that YouTube more recent video where they're at the conference, and Will still thinks he's the hero. He still thinks he's the leader of the group. I think that if he realized that Holly was the hero, he would have to have unbuttoned the rest of his shirt, and I think we should all be thankful about that not happening. So she sees Will repeating the process with the blue crystal. The mist comes again, and the woman says that she's been waiting for him. And Holly interrupts, but it's like she doesn't see it or hear it, and Will tells her it's a private thing. And now Holly sees it because it's a private thing that has now gone public, I guess. It's like us with the conference join in and somebody unmutes you. And it's Mom. And Mom goes straight to, Holly, come home. I love you. Oh, no, it's too late. Come tomorrow. So she skips right over Will. So sort of poor Will, but that's what you get for being a dick all these episodes. So there you go. And then they point out that they can't see her clearly. And they opine that maybe that's because they can't remember her all that well. So again, I wonder, like, how long in the distance in time, Earth-wise, is it that she died? Because Holly can only be 11 or 12 years old. Will's probably 15-ish. And they never talk about it. And how long have they been in the Land of the Lost? And, time clearly doesn't move exactly the same there. So what do you guys
think?
think?
I'm going to say that my son is 15 and he does not look like Will. Will was like 20.
Well, I think he was playing a 15-year-old.
Definitely a man.
Yeah. Sharon with the Will love. Okay, sorry. We won't talk badly about Will anymore.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
but not because of Will.
To go to Will's defense here a little bit, the dynamic is really the whole squabbling kids. And again, you can look at all the shows of that time. Good Times, Brady Bunch, Partridge Family. They're all squabbling all the time. If you didn't have that in there, to be perfectly honest, they can't have productive conversations and dialogue for that long with no other interaction except with Chaka. There's just not that much to talk about.
I agree. It's actually the most realistic depiction of kids on TV that I've seen. The only thing is that being in a foreign land filled with dinosaurs and peril and danger maybe change that dynamic, but maybe not. What do I know? I've never been there. So the kids sort of have this contract between themselves, and they decide not to tell Rick what's happened. And all of a sudden, Holly's really not that interested in improving the trap. So it's almost like parallel, these two situations going on. So Mom is dead, and Will thinks that maybe the time door can lead them back to her, which actually, that's a very natural thought. That's what he should think. But neither of them want to go back there. Neither of them want to go back to that time. And I just wonder if the loss is so real, or they're just happy being older. Like they want to get home, but they want to get home as they are. So I don't know. So, obviously being, not being anything, but I'm clearly struggling with this. So let's go to our two moms and with kids at home, because I don't have kids at home. So what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Sharon.
No, you go.
For me, I thought it was very realistic. Although I did want to ask you, this is a little off topic of the mom thing, do you think they were actually seeing the same vision, or were they each having their own? Because at the first point, I'm not sure if they're seeing, whether they're seeing the same thing or their own personal.
I thought they were seeing the same thing.
Okay.
That doesn't mean I'm right. Sharon is still looking pensive. Nope. All right, so here's where we learn that Rick has chores too. It's still not clear what they are. He just meets them in the forest and says, or in the jungle, I need to do my chores now, and walks off. So again, we're not really sure what his chores are, but he at least establishes that he has some. So our next scene, we're cutting to night. We hear the noise again, the trance-like drawing into the city. We see Mom in the mist again, and she's going, hurry! No, no! Now it's Dad saying, come with me. So they walk into the mist, but Dad is rocking a turtleneck and a sports coat. He's looking like Tom Jones, very hip, like he should be snapping his finger. And, underwear should be thrown at him by people in the crowd. It's so very 70s in there. Now, we sort of see like this very, like the film gets interrupted a little bit, and we see like a dual screen. It's like Sleestaks in one, then it goes back to its Rick, and we can figure out that it's a Sleestak trick. But like every Sleestak trick, somehow Rick knows that there's problems, which makes me think he's got inside information, like maybe he is a secret Sleestak. But Rick is on the job, and again, he instantly knows where to look again, and there he is. And he, and we figure out, I don't know. At this point, I typed the Miss May show desires, which would be Mom for the kids. So if Rick's seen that, maybe he desires Mom too. I'm not really sure. But Rick finds the blue crystal, and he sees this whole setup for the trap that it is, and he uses it as a flash grenade, and then he gives chase. So the Sleestaks are revealed to everyone, and Rick uses that flash grenade to save the kids. So Rick being very useful here and remembering skills from past episodes, which is not exactly his forte with Land of the Lost technology. Obviously, someone's building all the shit at High Bluff. So they opine that the Sleestaks he thinks that the Sleestaks want to trap them all three of them, and that's why he didn't just take Will, they didn't just take Holly, they wanted to take all three of them at the same time. I have no idea how he came to that conclusion so quickly, why that would be the case. Does anybody have any theories on that besides my ridiculous Holy Trinity of earlier?
No, that was actually the one I went to, was it's the theme of three.
Okay, good. Well, we're going to continue looking for the theme of three, which I just figured out. Dr. Pesner.
Yes.
What do you think?
I am going to be honest. I feel like I don't remember this episode. I'm wondering if I started watching it and then just didn't finish and I'm sorry.
That's an expert panel.
I know. You're like saying stuff. I don't remember this.
Oh, I remember it like it was yesterday. So we go back to the high bluff, and Holly disassembles the traps. She no longer likes traps. Rick approves because they've been burned by traps themselves. They can coexist with the little mouse or whatever it is. My question is, how did the Sleestaks know about the mother and how to access her memories and their memories? Are they telepathic like Enoch? Or is it something that's built into the technology themselves? Or is it like a reptilian cunning? Maybe that's where reptilian cunning comes from. Just the Sleestaks instinctively know how to pick on that. So, Aaron, your hand was raised quite politely. So, yeah, please join in.
No, I was just going to say, yes, I do think it's like an Enoch thing, but, you talk about that was the gas or the fog where you could see your fears, and Enoch would do that too. My theory is because they're an advanced, theoretically, race from Enoch, that they've just morphed it into using it more functionally. And because they're at more of a basic level, they're using it for trap, so they can get their feed on for the God pit.
So it's instinctual. They can use it for limited purposes, but not really quite more than that.
Well, and I mean, their whole society degraded anyway, so I don't think they have a higher purpose to use it. So they're traps, which goes back to that whole theme of compassion and empathy that goes through the series. Yeah. So we don't like traps because, we were going to trap it, but it really sucked for us, so we're not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, we've seen them use technology. They're extremely effective crossbows. They're the nets. But this is the first use of sophisticated technology, and certainly anything that harnesses the crystals. I mean, we know that they guard the crystals instinctively, but they've never actually harnessed the power of the crystals. But as you're saying, and maybe you're right, maybe they don't consciously harness the power of the crystals. Maybe it's just something that they do instinctively to set a trap. Why they wanted all three of them, I don't know, but maybe because maybe it's just that they're simpletons and they know that there's 3 humans out there. They want to get 3 humans and they never thought about divide and conquer. Maybe they just want all 3. All right. Well, that left me with a question mark, which is okay because it's only episode 7 of 43. So we should have some questions. So that'll bring us to episode 8, Skylons. Now, my main note here is that this episode felt like a conscious effort to slow down the story. That I guess they've done enough world building, and that, some of these episodes felt a little bit more frivolous and, just trying to lengthen the series some, which is good for us because we've got more to watch. So it starts with Grumpy chasing Spot. I guess that's a comedy section. We see that there's the kids are gardening. Will wants something other than carrots, of course. Ha ha, yuck, yuck. And they see pink and blue chickens, and Holly tells Will, "You'll never catch those." And she's right. He can't catch the goddamn chickens. Nobody can catch chickens. Nobody can catch chickens on Earth. I mean, I think maybe Rocky caught a chicken in his training scenes with Mickey. So we see a pylon. We hear the pylon noise, and we see like these flying gold diamonds in the air above the pylon. And for whatever reason, Holly screams. I don't know why these caused her to scream. I don't remember her screaming when she saw a Tyrannosaurus and Allosaurus. Really, Sleestaks, anything. I don't remember hearing her scream before. So why do you think that these flying diamonds caused her such terror? Shar?
I don't know. I don't know that I thought of it. I don't know. she just screamed and she scared the chickens off.
How do you think pink and blue chickens should be prepared?
That was funny.
I was wondering how they never saw chickens before that moment in time. I mean, we've never seen them before, have we?
We've never seen them, but apparently Holly said you'll never catch them, which indicates that they've tried and failed before. So who knows? There's a lot of things that just happen in the show that we're supposed to take as, that been there, done that kind of experiences. Erin, what say you?
I thought it was hysterical that I actually heard somebody laugh on set when they were going after the chicken. You could actually hear somebody back there laughing, and they kept it in, which was awesome. For her screaming, who knows? I mean, I don't know that there's actually a rational reason. The only thing I can think of is the only flashing things they've seen are those mirrors that they use to communicate, which they haven't used lately. And it's higher than them. I have no idea. They're moving around. I don't know. Something new, something scary. I don't have any depth to that.
It's okay. So the kids are having a conversation. Will really doesn't believe, bless you, Will doesn't believe Holly's description.
That's right.
And she just knows that they're dangerous but everything here is dangerous. And then they get into sort of this metaphysical, do you ever dream of home conversation, which would have made more sense in the prior episode. And it makes sense in any episode, but not right now when they're facing flying diamonds over the now semi-active pylon. So it was a little bit weird. And they exchange memories of home, which is lovely. And then we see that Rick is messaging via mirror, which you just alluded to. So again, the kids are out doing dangerous things, being out in the fields, and Rick is in the high bluff, presumably doing something, not exactly sure what. And then Holly points out that she needs to practice more. She didn't remember how to utilize the letter P in Morse code, so she couldn't do pylon. So Will sees this blue square in the pylon, and he just doesn't want to discuss it with Holly. So this is 2 episodes in a row where Will's keeping secrets from the family, and this never turns out well for him or really anyone. But she follows him anyway, which, she's the most consistent character in the Land of the Lost. And so somewhere in this, we see that Grumpy finally gets a kill, which is good. I'm glad that Grumpy eats. And Will points out it's better Spot than us. I don't know how they know it's Spot versus all the other little dinosaurs that look exactly like Spot, but okay. So Will is using the mirror to signal the pylon or the blue switch, whatever we want to call it, and it seemed to signal back to him. And then something that's oddly heavy falls off the pylon, and I, of course, taught radioactive, but I guess that's not really a concern in the Land of the Lost, even though it was a big concern in the mid to early 70s. Will tries to put it back on the pylon, but it seems to be repulsed by the pylon, almost as if it's like 2 magnets of the wrong polarity. You're trying to stick them together. But then it just sticks. So I don't know what happened, but it opened a doorway into the pylon, and then it shocks Will. And you think that it's big danger, and this is going to be the story. But instead, it just turns out that it just tingled him. Which in future episodes, we're going to see some more shocks and of various degrees. But Will got off pretty easy. And they enter the pylon, and then we see Rick signaling fruitlessly. And instead of jumping into action, he just continues to signal, which again, Rick, secret heel, overtly useless. That I'm going to stick with that until he proves otherwise, except in some rare circumstances. Okay. So I've been talking for a bit, so why don't Erin, why don't you jump in?
Well, I guess I don't have the timeline right down exactly, but the pylon shocked Grumpy too. Grumpy was coming for them.
That's shortly. That's so. Let's jump there. So to get your thought process on the right timeline base, they notice there's a control board inside, and Grumpy is coming, so they hide in the pylon. We do see that Rick is now searching for them, and he avoids Spike. I guess Spike is dangerous. I'm not sure why. And this is when Grumpy decides to try to eat the pylon to get to the kids, but the pylon shocks Grumpy.
But I don't recall the kids doing anything. Like, it's not like they were using the crystals, were they? I don't think they were.
No,
It just shocked them just like it did Will.
Yeah, no, the pylon seems to have an intelligence on its own. It seems to know when to be defensive, or maybe once people come in and the door's closed, it automatically has puts on the alarm system, so to speak.
Yeah.
ADT, did you see the sign there on the other side that said protected by ADT?
And I was just surprised to see another crystal table in there. You know, you didn't expect that.
No, there was definitely a sticker on the pylon that said ADT BCE.
Yeah.
Endorsed by the Flintstones. So Will puts his hand over the panel, and he seems to create lightning and control the weather. So I have two editorials here. One, is this possibly where the architects of humanity and the universe come? Is this like a practice world where they sort of practice how to fiddle with environments and the world, that kind of thing? So I definitely went that deep. The other editorial I had is, what is it with the 70s and weather machines? I mean, I remember Luke and Laura and General Hospital, like Mikos Cassadine, had this weather machine. What was it about weather machines back in the 70s that was such a fascination?
I have no idea. I remember Wonder Woman, there was one. They had one with Wonder Woman.
Absolutely.
Back then.
Luke and Laura was the 80s.
All right. Early 80s. Because I was still going to an orthodontist. I remember that.
Yeah, and not like we had crazy weather like we do now, but there was definitely a weather machine.
Right. I mean, it makes sense now. Now it would be sort of considered like a panacea. Then it was a weapon or a means of control.
Right. Definitely means of control. It's funny that you bring that up because that just died. That whole topic just died.
Of weather machines?
Yeah, and considering the talk about satellites and rockets and space, okay, yeah, we'll throw it up there that there's a weather machine, but I'm surprised that got kind of dropped as a storyline.
Yeah, well,
I think more intense weaponry than being able to control the weather kind of came along. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, if you control the weather, like, can you control the world if you can control the weather? Or if you have more powerful weapons? Like, I feel like, I don't know if I'm stating clearly what I'm trying to say.
Sure. I think you're saying that they could still nuke you if you had that. But maybe if you were in a underground bunker like a Bond villain lair, I mean, we had Bond movies throughout the 60s and Get Smart and Batman and the Planet of the Apes movies were there. So, I mean, we were certainly aware of nuclear. I mean, Dr. Strangelove was at least probably...
Even diseases, I feel like those got thrown in there, biotechnology and those kind of threats.
Maybe it was just more along the kid genre. The kid...
I don't know.
Shazam.
I'm saying that things evolved. It's like you can't just stick with let's control the weather. Like, people need different storylines. That's all I'm saying. Only because you're saying how the storyline is dropped, and I was like, maybe people were looking for other worldly weapons, or other evilness.
Yeah, it's very Zeus and Thor kind of Bronze Age kind of thing, controlling the weather. We're now into the age of technology.
Right.
So,
I was saying before, it's Shazam and ISIS. That was their gig too.
Ooh, nice. Well, the gods of old and the superheroes of old are pretty much one and the same. So now we see that Chaka finds Rick, and apparently Chaka's afraid of thunder. So listen, what is that? It never thunders there? And we find out in later episodes that it does rain and thunder at other times. So why would Chaka be afraid of this specific thunder? There's no reason for that. I guess the scene was just to make Rick seem sympathetic and comforting Chaka. But I just thought it was dumb. Why would a Pakuni that basically lives outside in the land of the lost where there's weather, why would they be afraid of thunder?
Maybe you can typically see the storms coming, and maybe you couldn't. This came out of the blue.
Okay, that could be it. What do you think, Sharon?
I think it's the same logic as why did she scream, but she didn't scream when a dinosaur was chasing after her to eat her. I feel like your points are valid, and I don't think that there was any rhyme or reason.
So I know that you guys are big wrestling fans, and I know that you guys know that it's WrestleMania week this week, and and night one of WrestleMania was last night. Yeah, I saw Sharon on the watch along, and night two is tonight, and a lot of people complain about. So booking is when there's stories, and they decide who wins based on the stories and how you build the story to the story of the match and how it ends. So that's a thumbnail of booking. So that for the last 10 years, probably longer, but it's accelerated. People complain about the booking, and they go, why did the McMahons do this? Because it's the McMahon family that controls WWE, the biggest wrestling promotion. And the answer from wrestling fans in the know is, why? Because fuck you, that's why. So that's the answer here too. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. So that's the answer. Not you guys particularly, just writ large. That's the answer why. So, and to those in the audience who are not wrestling fans, I know there's a bunch of you out there, hopefully most of you, because that means you're normaler. Now you've got a little primer. We learn that all of the colors seem to cause thunder and lightning, and it accelerates into almost like a hurricane. Rick, with Chaka in tow, find Will and Holly's prints, which apparently have not been distorted by the torrential rain and winds and hurricane, which I guess is strange. But Rick, of course, being a park ranger and master tracker, and he's proved his tracking skills many times without referring directly to it, but maybe that explains why he can always find where they are. He finds the prints, and then for whatever reason, Rick sends Chaka off to home, and Chaka apparently understands English now and saunters off, presumably home, but I guess maybe he doesn't understand English, and he just saunters off. Maybe he went to go get cigarettes or something.
Bring up board.
Right. Who knows? Yeah, right. So what do we think Chaka went? How does he learn English? Why doesn't Rick speak Pakuni at this point? If the little monkey men can learn English, why can't the humans learn Pakuni? I mean, I have questions, people.
I kind of feel like it's at their convenience, because there are other scenes in the next episodes where he doesn't understand it, where he doesn't understand what they're saying. So to me, it seems like, and I've seen this in other shows where certain things, when they were convenient to them, I feel like it was convenient for the scene. That's my opinion.
Erin, this is your cue.
I would just say, I think, and some of the shows are starting to get out of sequence, but they learn a couple of words, and the kids are definitely more into swapping the English and Pakuni language. I mean, Rick, no, not so much. He does it if he has to. That's not really his gig. But everybody knows the young ones learn languages faster.
All right. So going back to the McLaughlin group, which we did last time, you're both wrong, and you're both wrong. You know why? Because you blew a perfect answer. When I said why, you're supposed to say why, because fuck you, that's why. That was your cue. All right. Neither one of you can be stand-up comedians. Okay. No. Okay. So now Rick sees the flying diamonds, and Rick inherently knows that they're dangerous. I guess because everything's dangerous. I don't know. So I wrote down that they were gold and sometimes green, because I'm still convinced that colors mean something, even though we routinely see that they don't, or sometimes they do and other times they don't. Why? Because fuck you, that's why. If I could, I might entitle this show Why? Because fuck you, that's why. But that probably wouldn't go over so well. The sky definitely looks cray-cray. We get cold hell. It's so cold that it burns. Holly loses Will because a tree fell on him, and it looks like it was a palm tree. So Rick's on the hunt. Holly beckons him. They have some trouble hearing each other, I guess, because of the storm and distance. Rick does his Ranger Scout health check on Will, decides that he's okay and you can just do it, which we have a medical expert here, and I don't think that's how you can tell if a tree falls on someone that it's okay to move the tree or do whatever. So, Erin, as our medical expert, what do you think? Is it safe to move a tree off of someone just willy-nilly? Or, are you going to give them a pass because it's a land of the lost and no paramedics are coming? Or, what say you?
I would say move the tree before you move the person.
Okay.
I would not ding his technique at this particular time.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Rick...
I would say if tree is really heavy to move, and one man and an 11-year-old girl are not going to be able to move it.
Yet they did.
And that's I go back
and
to
then he was fine.
Yeah.
And then he was totally fine after.
We're looking at it differently from, being older, looking at it. And when you look at it from a kid's view, yeah, you really don't care.
Well, obviously you guys are forgetting another great 70s series where the whole point of the research of Dr. David Banner was to find out how people could get unexplained feats of strength in times of crisis. And yes, I'm talking about The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno.
That took the car off the kid, right?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know, is that urban myth? Is that even really true story? Right? That bionic mom who's able to move the car off a kid.
Listen, 1977, Jeff, will tell you that is 100% fact, and it's been 3 and 4 times peer-reviewed by other 8-year-olds. So it is absolutely true, and we saw it here, and somehow it also has healing properties, combined with the Lands of the Lost magnificent growth, which apparently involves stem cell regeneration, that is more effective in teenage boys than others, or so we speak. So that's my working theory there. Again, it could be why, ladies.
Fuck you.
Well, I mean, because fuck you, that's why. I mean, just fuck you could just mean fuck you. I mean, and maybe that was your point. But
I shortened the sentence. Not right to this point.
All right, you guys really don't understand cues. All right, that's.
I have to say that I feel like I was being convinced. Like you were saying, 8-year-old me was okay with that, and I was like, yeah, it can happen. I was excited.
That's right.
He took free off of him, and he was okay.
Yeah, no problem. It's all good.
It's Saturday's show, It's
yeah.
All right, so the kids explained to Dad what happened. They got into the pylon. They changed the weather. The dinosaurs are all converging because they're scared. Very dinosaur-heavy episode. A lot of claymation, a lot of puppets happening. A little bit of world building here. And once again, if they want refuge, where do our heroes hide? In the water. It's like safety it's like when you play tag and you hit the tree and you're safe. The water is safe. What's going on? Like, what is that? It still bothers me as no...
That's like this thunder and lightning. Like, that's kind of not where you should be.
Thank you. I mean, even if they've established there's no dinosaurs in the water, which I find ridiculous, we know that there's fish because Jefferson Colley III, or whatever his name was, fished. And he got some giant fish in there. We didn't establish that they weren't carnivorous. I mean, they look pretty scary. They just tasted good.
There's so much other food there. I don't understand why carrots. I was thinking that too. They don't know how to hunt. Like they know how to do the most ridiculous things, but they never figure it out. I actually have another question that then we'd be going off the story. But there are things that I think about in the story, like I don't know if you want me to bring it up, so it's okay.
They don't fish.
Yeah, they don't fish. I mean,
like, why?
I don't know.
But that's exactly. You don't have to have carrots every day. If you go out and you only pick carrots, then yes, that's what you're going to eat. But the other people, they always have other fruits and like I don't know. Yeah, there's other things that they can eat.
Yes, there's berries, there's grapes, there's turnips, there's other things that grow.
If you're hungry enough, you eat a fish. I mean, like, fish is good. I don't know why they wouldn't eat fish.
There's dead dinosaurs, which they know what's a fresh kill and what's not a fresh kill.
Sure, it tastes like chicken.
They can cook it, right, like chicken. Or, I mean, even if they don't really feel like fishing, couldn't they go back to Jefferson Colley and say, hey, listen, we'll work for you for the next day, and you just give us a fish each, and then we'll be on a merry way. I mean, he didn't keep them hostage. He didn't even really seem to want them to stay, but it didn't seem like he would mind company from time to time.
Yeah, they're not really really utilizing him. Like, why don't they go back and visit him? I agree with you.
Yeah.
I miss him. I liked him.
I do too. And you know what? His name is...
to be on more of it.
The actor's name is Walter Edmondson, and he also plays Enoch. Really good. I like him. So I convinced myself that he was definitely Dr. Zaius also.
I think he's the Enoch also.
He is.
I think that he's the Enoch too.
So I went on his IMDb, and he was in Planet of the Apes, but he was not Dr. Zaius. He had like a minor role, but he was in like everything, like in the 60s and 70s, even into the 80s. Like he's like the definition of a working actor, and he must have had some deal with CBS because he was on Falcon's Crest, Dallas, Knots Landing, The Dukes of Hazzard, but he was also on...
I have to look him up. I watched all those.
Yeah, he was in
I would excel.
Yeah, well, that's what IMDb does, but he was on Little House on the Prairie, he was on A Fantasy Island, he was in a bunch of movies, and he's in a lot of cartoons. He was on like Spider-Man, Plastic Man.
Like diversity, like if you could be a chameleon and play different roles, that's obviously what he was good at doing.
Yeah, but when I heard his voice in that costume, I was sure that he was one of the main actors in Planet of the Apes, and he was not. He like played like Baby Caesar or Baby Cornelius or something like that. I don't know. It was a bit disappointing, but there was a lot of other interesting stuff that he had done. So they hide in the water. They see the 3 flying diamonds. So I typed here like Enoch's cave. The colors must mean something, and they did. And Rick was actually useful. He reverse engineered the order, and he sort of did like, remember Simon was a game like when we were kids, and you had to remember the code. So this was that. Maybe this was the inspiration for Simon. Who knows? But he told them, So he Morse coded the signals to the diamonds, and it seemed to work. And that allowed them to enter into the pylon, and they entered in the same combination, and they fixed the weather, and it worked. Will figured out how to close the door. The diamonds seemed appeased. I, of course, wrote the Watchers because everything has to tie to some sort of ancient alien, ancient architect to me. That's just sort of my particular disease of choice. And then we learn from Rick, he just blurts this out based on, I have no idea what, that Enoch's people built perfect balance. What perfect balance? What's he talking about?
Okay. So one of the things that Rick also says is, if you're going to experiment, you have to understand that there are variables.
Yeah, he says when we experiment with things we don't understand, we upset that balance. I verbatim Rickisms.
Right. And you have to have the environment in balance, which at that point in time, you already know, you were talking about the nuclear power, you were talking about climate, environments. There were a lot of environmental policies at that point. I just really like how the show will touch on all of those hot spots that were happening in the 70s and then like kid it down.
Very nice. Doesn't the very existence of the Marshals in the Land of the Lost upset that balance?
It's Saturday morning cartoons, kid. Somebody's got to tell the story. You got to have somebody be.
I'm actually going to take it a step further and say there is no balance in the Land of the Lost. There's nothing that makes sense. There's no balance. There's just a hodgepodge.
Oh, Sharon froze.
It's like the whole show is just, how you have all of these different piles and everything has a title, and then you have miscellaneous. And I feel like Land of the Lost is the miscellaneous pile. It's like just all the rejects of whatever and was spit into this land. There's no balance.
Right, it's the Land of Lost Things.
At all. I don't even know what he's talking about.
Neither do I. I don't know how he comes to that conclusion. And Will actually said something really smart right after that. He goes, if we don't experiment, how are we going to get out of here? Yeah. Fuck to the yeah, man. Hell yeah, Will. So Rick lays out a deep strategy there. He figures out that the pylons may help in that venture. Duh. And that the diamonds are the protectors of the pylons. Oh, all right. I'm not really sure they're the protectors of the pylons. I mean, it's not like they didn't cause the storm. Will caused the storm. So I'm not really seeing that connection. But then they decide on the end, the name of them, and they decide that they're going to be called the Skylons. So, and that was basically the name of the show, the end. That takes us to episode 9, The Hole. Now, yeah, go ahead.
Quick question. So, wait, I can't remember the exact sequence. Did the Skylons show up before they tried to touch the pylon?
Yes.
They showed up before, right?
Yep.
So there's no real reason to think that they're really, although they were blinking different sequence colors. So.
Yeah, but we've seen other pylons too, and this is the only pylon that they've appeared before or above.
I didn't get how you'd necessarily put them together because same thing. They've seen the pylons before, so.
Again, I'm thinking that Rick may not be Rick. He may be a secret Sleestak in disguise or secret heel.
He's got those chores. We don't know what he's doing.
That's right. It's very mysterious. A lot of mysterious things here. This could be called the land of the mysterious lost. So, in the hole, they're approaching a quiet lost city. Alice is not on patrol, or is she? So, first Rickism of this episode. The first rule of survival is never assume anything. So to Enoch's cave they go. The mission is to open the time doorway. Well, that seems like a good mission. Again, it's sort of against Rick's discussion earlier. Don't mess with anything. But maybe Will was convincing. I don't know. Holly's home. It's just Rick and Will. So Holly's upset about having to clean the cave. I don't blame her. Every time she goes, something good happens. She also muses that she misses Comanche, her horse. So, again, I'm thinking that maybe they're sort of rich. They have a horse. Horses aren't cheap. They had those strawberry patches. They made ice cream. Seems like they had a pretty good thing going on there. But maybe it was sort of like that. I'd like to give the world a Coke commercial.
Maybe they lived on a farm. I mean, she looks like she's from a farm.
Or a commune. I'm thinking they could be a commune. They could be like I said, that the Coke and a Smile, like, the end commercial from, Man Men, the close-out 1971 commercial.
I'm thinking farm.
Okay. Well, of course our permaculturists would go with the farm. Fine, that's all right. So apparently Dopey is hiding but wants to play. Dopey has not grown at all. Everything else there grows except for Dopey, the Pakuni, and the teenagers. Well, I guess the Sleestaks too. So anything that's humanoid doesn't grow. I mean, the other dinosaurs are full grown. Dopey hasn't grown since hatching. That's a little bit weird. I would think that that would be a survival skill there.
We don't know our timeline.
We don't know our timeline at all, but it does seem like they've been there a while. I don't know. And at this point, we learn a new word, which is an old world, that no beefing. And apparently beefing is like hipster or hippiester for complaining. Have you ever heard beefing as complaining?
No. Oh, yeah. Wait a minute. What's your beef?
I've heard what's your beef, but I've never heard no beefing used that way.
No.
Like as a verb.
Yeah, not as a verb, but that was current for the time with what's your beef? What's your complaint?
Maybe we need a 65-year-old to join our panel to see if that was a thing.
Yeah.
Sharon, you're very silent and your arms are crossed. Are you beefing?
No.
Okay.
I'm a little tired. I'm sorry, but I was thinking the same thing as Aaron. I was thinking like what's your beef? So I just kind of like I don't think I thought of it that much. I just kind of let it go. I was like, oh, it's like I understood the context it was in, and I just kept going. I don't think I got stuck.
That seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I just had never heard the word before or that term, so I wanted to take note of it. All right, so we get to the gas.
I've made up words, though. Haven't you ever made up a word and it sounds perfectly fine in my argument? I just made up a word.
Indubitably.
Maybe he just made it up.
Yeah, I make up words all the time. I just tried to do one, but it didn't sound like anything. Yeah, like George Bush, strategery. So we get back to the gas pit, and I'm like, is that the Sleestak god? And then Rick fights with the Sleestak, and he gets tossed into the pit. So that's a little scary. And then the Sleestak, instead of chasing after the kids, apparently just says, that's cool, and meanders off. So Rick awakens in a misty cave floor. English-speaking Sleestak says, "Put down your weapons." We hear some, scary growling in the background. And the Sleestak speaks in plural. "We know many things. Their god gets hungry. Many humans have been here. Some disappear. Some die." What? What do you mean many humans have been here? Some disappear, some die.
Many humans before you.
We have not known about many. Now, we've met Jefferson. We know that Enoch was aware of the humans, but that's because Enoch thought he was from the future. Instead, he was from the past, but nevertheless. We know someone wrote "Beware of Sleestak," so it sort of makes sense, but, this is interesting to me. Some disappear, some die. Maybe we'd see some bones. I don't know. But he's a very stoic Sleestak, even more so than Enoch. He's very fatalistic. He's like a giant quitter. So.
Yeah. And how are we meeting him for the first time?
He's been at the bottom of this cave, and apparently the monster, the god, didn't feel like eating him. I guess the monster wasn't hungry.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long can anybody really stay in that hole? This is the purpose of having any creature down there is to feed the gods, so...
Yeah. The only thing I can think of is that several episodes ago, Rick threw one or two of the Sleestaks in there, and maybe the god ate them, and maybe the god only needs to eat once in a while. Maybe that, maybe he's like a lion, you eat a, wildebeest and you don't have to eat again for 3 weeks. I'm not sure. I don't know.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Or we can just go with our theme, which is why, because fuck you, that's why. Maybe he has been fed since. We can't rule that out either. But yeah, why are we just meeting him? But, again, he also points out that there's only been escape once, which he distinguishes from disappearing or dying, which I don't know how he knows the difference between disappearing and escaping. This is strange. And then the Sleestak doesn't know how there was an escape. And then he admits after questioning there was only a legend before the new god was hatched. Hatched? Gods don't hatch. Animals hatch. What is this that the god hatched?
Yeah.
What kind of religion is based on hatching gods? It's like, I think, there's been birds before, but did they hatch? All right. So that bothered me, 5 question marks. Bad. So Will is seeking rescue, and Alice comes around, so Will bravely hides in an egg. Actually, I thought that was pretty clever that he hid in an eggshell, but it's not like he went in the eggshell or, put the eggshell on top of him like it was a rock. He just hid in the eggshell. So he's like a baby bird in the eggshell waiting to be fed. I would think that Alice could still eat him, especially since she's like 15 feet tall. But no, it worked. We now learn...
But not only that, it's not... I just have to say, they always make the dinosaurs out to be dumb as shit. Like, they just make the dinosaurs out to be so dumb. And if he's hiding in an egg, can't they, animals go by sense of smell more than their sight. So it's I don't know. There are so many times where they, escape, and it's ridiculous. I'm just saying.
Well, dinosaurs went more by their...
Maybe the dinosaurs in here are the reject dinosaurs.
Yeah.
It is the land of the lost, so...
Yeah.
Maybe they're the reject dinosaurs. That's why they're there.
Yeah, but you would think that the one thing dinosaurs would be good at would be hunting, and you point out that dinosaurs are stupid, but Dopey isn't. Dopey seems to have a working knowledge of English.
That's why I don't like his name.
I agree.
His name bothers me.
It should.
He's like the best dinosaur out of all of them. I would think he could have, and all of these other dinosaurs have regular, normal names except for Grumpy. And then I'm still very upset over the name Dopey. I love Dopey.
You are allowed
Dopey
to.
and Taka. Those are my 2 favorite characters. And the guy, the other human.
You're allowed to have your own little issues with the show, because I think we all do. Aaron, did you want to jump in?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. So we learned that the talking Sleestak has a name. His name is Salach, which later gets turned into Slatch without the sa. Apparently the Sleestaks call Alice Salima. She is the protector of the Sleestak eggs until they're born. We never mention Salima again. It's back to Alice, so I don't know why that was important. The other Sleestaks are trying to protect the only thing they know, the city that makes them secure, so it's some sort of instinct, apparently. He mentions that those that have ventured past the split in the earth have never returned. So, I don't know. I'd be looking for that split of the earth, and I'm wondering if that's where the marshals came through when the wall rock closed behind them during the entry sequence when they're on the rapids before the waterfall. So who knows? Maybe that's the place. Maybe that's the split of the earth. I don't know. There's a bunch of... Go ahead.
I thought he meant that like crevasse where the dinosaurs were, because it's not like you've got. I mean, let's face it. There are only so many places to go on that soundstage, so you haven't seen a whole lot in the way of mountainous areas.
Well, that's true. And you know what? The split in the earth in the Land of the Lost doesn't have to mirror the same kind of split in the earth in the regular Earth, but it's interesting that he calls it the split in the Earth when they're on a different planet, maybe coincidentally also named Earth.
Very good.
Oh, that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, 3 moons in all.
Mm-hmm.
Having just interviewed someone about the hollow Earth, maybe perhaps it's a hollow Earth, because in the hollow Earth, in some hollow Earth theories, anyway, there are suns and moons down there as well, which, you know, that seems unlikely to me, but maybe there's projections or orbs or strange lighting that makes it look that way. So I'm not ruling that out either, that it is a literal split in the earth. I know I'm crazy. So then this is Slatch, the he that I speak of, says that those that stay protect. The ancestors became warlike barbarians. The descendants are not intelligent. Slatch is unique. Every now and then one is born with a brain filled with knowledge of the universe. Okay, so we have heard this kind of thing before from Enoch, all this big talk that we have knowledge of the universe, and then they proceed to tell us all the things they don't know how to do and don't know how to control. And we sort of are going to build to that, but he also tells us that he's considered a freak and a threat to their, meaning the Sleestak's existence, and this always happens. I guess they throw them into the pit. And he knows this because this is part of the knowledge that he's born with, that everyone else like him ends up eaten by the Sleestak god, or the Sleestak gods as they hatch in order. We cut back to Holly and Dopey. They're playing fetch, sort of, but Dopey continues to eat the stick instead of fetching it, and Holly chastises poor Dopey. We learn that the pit is 7 meters deep. And the only reason that I think that this is noteworthy is because this is an American show in 1974.
I thought the same thing. Okay. Meters. Yeah.
Okay, you guys take it then, because this is good. I didn't know that if anyone else would pick this up.
Yeah,
I don't know what I'm supposed to say about it. That was my whole thought.
when we were in first grade, I remember why cooking is a challenge for me, because, well, there are other issues, but when we were in first grade, everything was geared towards the metric system, because we were going to switch, we were going to change, we were going to switch over, and it just never freaking happened. So at the time, that would have been okay that he said 7 meters, because that's what we were learning in school. Like, I knew those better than I knew yards or any of the others. I had to learn all that. So now I actually have to have one of those like kindergarten. Now they have their little measuring people. So it's like, how many cups are in a quart? How many quarts are in a gallon? So yeah, I mean that was what we were learning in school, was metric.
Yeah, no, they were.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, they were definitely trying to force us to get used to the metric system, and I'm sure that Hollywood was on board with that, because Hollywood is, very progressive. And I actually take this as proof positive that Hollywood does not rule a Illuminati-like cabal, because they couldn't even get Americans to adopt the metric system. I mean, that was given up by the 80s, that they tried to do it. But I thought it was very interesting.
I'm just going to tell you that I'm going to interrupt because we actually were talking about this in permaculture.
Yes.
Because I take a class and it's on Zoom and people are there from all over the world. So when we say things, we have to do it in both metrics and then in, I forgot what we call ours. And what she was saying is that it had to do with Reagan. Somehow Reagan put the squash on it. So I don't know. That's all that I know. But so apparently we were starting to move in that direction. Reagan put the squash on it, and then that was the end of that.
That's right. His greatest achievement.
I don't know the story behind it, though. I didn't Google it. I didn't look it up, and I don't remember.
That's right. Squash the metric system. Squash globalism. No, I told you, this is proof that Hollywood does not rule the world, because if they did, we'd be using the metric system. So, anyway, we get more Slatch being very fatalistic here, and Rick wants pitons or pitons to climb. Those things that climbers hammer into or chisel into rock faces to, sort of make a ladder. Now, Slatch, born with all the knowledge of the world, has never thought about this. He's never even considered the possibility of escape. Now, we learn later on in the episode, no spoilers, that this is even more ridiculous. But he never thought to create like a little ladder to climb out. And there are no pitons, but they find out that the Sleestak bolts, which are lying around all over the place, can be used effectively as pitons. So even though they don't stick into any people and barely fly at all, they're sharp enough to penetrate stone with just a little bit of force. So, yeah, so now Slatch, he's completely on board with Rick's plan. He's completely bipolar. So Hope changes the genius, not so genius Sleestak.
See, this is the thing about the bipolar.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should not skip that, because I believe he was smart enough to understand that even if I got out, I'd still be in the same spot. They'd still throw me in the pit again. Where am I going to go? I mean, I don't know. Slatch was having some major depressive issues.
Well, Enoch is the same way, though. I mean, their whole race seems to be like, well, if I'm doomed, I'm doomed. There's only one way to do it. There's no way to do it. They're like the droopy dog of intelligent species, yet they think they know everything.
But you know what I don't understand? I'm in a land of, in the middle of nowhere. I kind of feel like the more people together and the more people that you bring into your tribe, the more talents people have. Like why aren't they embracing the guy in the cave, this one, the Enoch, the Chaka? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like this is how a village forms. I just feel like there's no sense of community or unity or let's help each other out. Like, it's us against the dinosaurs or us against the Sleestaks. Like, do you know what I'm saying? That there's such isolation and separatism, but that doesn't make any sense, because survival is based on joining together and using everybody's minds together to make your situation as safe and as good as possible. And to me, their behavior makes no sense whatsoever. If it was me, I would be like, stay with us. Like let's form a community. Let's find a bigger cave. Let's figure out how to get out of here together. Like, look at all of these different resources that we have. And it's like the old guy comes out of the cave. He's like, I don't like it out here, and he leaves. And then they never acknowledge that there's another human there again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right? So I feel like that to me just doesn't make any sense.
That was beautiful. My only counter to that is that it's only the humans that are new here. The Sleestaks have always been there. The Pakuni have always been there. So that is their normal. The humans are the ones that need to be trying to recruit people, and they don't even seem particularly interested in it.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't understand why the humans aren't like, hey, let's join forces.
Now, I don't know why Slatch isn't like, hey, can I hang out with you guys because my own people are going to throw me into a pit?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Is I feel like there's no sense of survival instinct. Like, survival instinct is there's safety in numbers. You know, like, that's why humans hung out together. That's why there's herds. Like, that's why, and that's what I'm not understanding. My mind is very community oriented, and I feel like this is very isolationing and, oh, well, you're on your own and see ya, bye, good luck,
Agreed.
Let the Sleestaks eat you and kill you. Like, I don't know, whatever.
See, I don't know. With me, I feel like Rick's mantra is usually, let's let them do their own thing. They can hang with us for a little bit, but Chaka's got to go back to his own people, and we don't want to mess with that.
Right, but these are the people who are rejects. Like, Chaka is a reject of his people. This guy is a reject of his people. So for them to go back, they're going back to being abused or killed. So, and they're intelligent enough to help out. Chaka knows the land. He's from there. So wouldn't you want to use him and his knowledge of the land to help and to learn from? Like, they don't even think that. They feel like they come in and they think that, well, we're the humans, we're here, and we know everything, and we know more than you, and you have nothing to teach us, but we have everything to teach you, even though we have, we just got here, but we know everything. And whatever.
It's very human-centric.
If I was lost there, I would have gone about it differently.
It's a hippie show, but it's not a hippie show. It's still separating people based on their outward appearances. But even the old man, he didn't want to join them. See, that's why I think this whole thing might be a dream or some sort of vision or something like that, because a lot of stuff doesn't make sense. I mean, even if you don't like the old dude, I mean, maybe you would want to steal his cannon, and use that instead of the fly swatter to get rid of the Tyrannosaurus that keeps coming at you. Speaking of the Tyrannosaurus, Grumpy interrupts playtime, and Will confirms that Holly's okay, but she can't lift the fly swatter herself, so he's going to try to figure out something to help her. But as usual, Holly can figure out things herself, so she uses a couple of crystals, and she remembers the combination, and she throws them, and they explode like a little hand grenade, and that scares Grumpy off, which was a pretty good tactic. Will gets a rope because Grumpy apparently destroyed he destroyed something. And I don't know why Will needs the rope. Yes, I do. It's to get Rick. It's not about Holly. So Holly argues that she wants to go with Will to go rescue Dad. Will doesn't want her to go, but she's not going to listen. She's going to follow him anyway, which again is consistent. In the meantime, we get back to Rick and Slatch, and Rick's plan is working, but Slatch is still being a killjoy. He's like, oh, this is never going to work.
Arguing to be very tiring, and just like, oh, shut up, just let her come with you already. Like, she's gonna anyway. Like,
this is true. Well, I think that you binge watch.
That's my peanut gallery opinion.
Yeah, no, that's good. This is a peanut gallery show. Yes.
So one of the things that I really liked about Slatch was, you were talking about how when he was talking about his ancestors were warlike and barbarians, but they were intelligent. But they destroyed each other. Those that remained were the strong and uneducated.
Yeah.
So this was still, when I saw this episode, it was not long after January 6th over at the Capitol. And there were just so many themes in this that I was like, wow, that's really deep.
Yeah, a lot of deep, a lot of themes. Yeah, well, listen, if history doesn't repeat itself, the past is prologue. So we get our next Rickism. We call helping one another brotherhood. It's something all living creatures should make a part of their life. Now, this is very interesting because after what Sharon just said, and Rick saying that, but his actions are different. Their actions are different than what he just said. They are not trying to form a brotherhood. I mean, they may loosely help each other.
You just made fun of me what I just said, and then you just totally proved my point.
I didn't make fun of you. I was just trying to bring a counterpoint into it in that the humans are the new ones there, and maybe, remember, Rick said the world's in perfect balance. Maybe part of the balance was the Pakuni not interacting with the Sleestak and vice versa, and the humans are sort of the disruptive feature, although we have now learned that hasn't just been a couple humans there before, there's been many. Anyway.
I believe diversity is the answer to peace on Earth.
So instead of Beware Sleestak, they should have put one of those coexist bumper stickers on that rock.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, well, we can all agree with that. And you know who else agrees? Slatch. Slatch agrees that brotherhood would be good. And then he falls and he injures his leg. Oh, I'm dead. Rick insists on helping him, and Slatch decides after their 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get whatever it is, you are a true friend, Rick Marshall. Well, that's nice. That's sweet. They get very attached very quickly. Cut to Will and Holly coming to the rescue. And then cut to Slatch back to being a negative Norman. He's like, I'm going to die, leave me. And Rick's like, no, I'm not going to let you. You must teach your people. Don't squander your intelligence. Teach them how to coexist and to be nice to your neighbors. And Slatch, once again, despite having all the knowledge of the universe at birth, he is persuaded again by Rick, and he agrees. So he's pretty easily persuaded for a guy with all the knowledge of the universe in his brain. And I'm thinking that maybe these Sleestaks, even the advanced ones, are a bit presumptuous. We cut to Alice eating, so the kids are able to circle.
Funny that you say that because I think Rick is pretty presumptuous.
Indeed he is. There's a lot of presumptuity, which is a word I just made up, I'm pretty sure.
Like a moron leading a moron.
Well, Holly is the true leader. I mean, I think we've established this. Holly
I agree. Girls rule, boys rule.
In this case, I must begrudgingly admit that you seem correct. So Slatch and Rick make it topside. Great. We get a Rickism here. Just a man trying to stay alive in a very hostile world. So this was a definite world-building episode, which I thought was pretty cool. And then Slatch decides that he's going to be he'll be fine alone now, even though his ankle was just broken, until we meet again. And Slatch, he's gone. Before brotherhood was good, now, peace out, bros. See ya. And he's like, I'm out, Slatch out. Rick reunites with the kids. The Sleestaks are back. It's in the pit. Where's Slatch? Don't know where Slatch is. He's gone. There's a hole. Let's go to the hole. We'll be rescued and we'll be safe in the hole. No water this time. So it's cloudy. It reminds them of the pit. Will says that they came down at least 7 or 8 meters. Again, they're using the metric system. That's great. Will stumbles upon the pitons. Basically, they walked in a U shape and they walked their way right back into the pit. So instead of having to climb out of the pit, they could have just walked around to escape this Sleestak god. And Slatch, with all of his infinite wisdom of the universe, didn't realize he could have just taken a right turn and kept walking, or a left turn, depending which way he was facing. And he just could have walked out of the goddamn pit. So, again, not so smart. So the monster's coming.
Being chased. Holly and Will were being chased by the Sleestaks, so that's why they didn't go that way. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with them.
Right. So the monster's coming, and the rope is thrown down to them. So now we know for story purposes why they didn't just run out the way they came out, because they've dealt with Sleestaks before, and they're pretty easy to deal with. I mean, let's face it, they could have used those pitons as stabbing weapons if they really wanted to. So, so they're like, Will, get Holly out. And they do. And, it turns out it's Slatch who threw down the rope. And now his ankle is well enough that he can support the weight and pull them out. Will goes first, rather. He helps to pull Holly out. And then Rick is next. And only a shadow of the Sleestak god is ever seen. So we still don't know. So just like a Spielbergian movie, we don't know what the monster looks like yet. Jaws is still not revealed. The regular Sleestaks don't listen to Slatch's orders, and so there's a little scrum that ensues, and the marshals and Slatch throw one of the Sleestaks into the pit. You would think that Slatch, with all his knowledge of the universe, would at least know who Enoch is, probably the only guy that he could talk to, but Slatch doesn't know Enoch. So, okay. Why? Because fuck me, that's why. Slatch was just born smart, but he can't open the time doorway. Okay, so that's another piece of knowledge of the universe that he doesn't have, which maybe makes sense because he didn't know that he could just walk out of the pit if he just walked on a slight incline. The knowledge of the pylons on the Matrix. The Matrix! The Matrix! Did you hear the Matrix? Come on! That isn't part of that knowledge, so all the knowledge of the universe, so the Matrix is outside the universe, that just supports that we're all in a Matrix, that we're in a simulation, and our universe is contained. So again, the flat Earth is real. I'm having too much fun with this. All right, so once again, Slash is like, I must be going. Where? He was prepared to die like 10 minutes ago. Now he's got like some urgent mission. I mean, it's not to educate the other Sleestaks. They don't even listen to his commands to go. So where the hell does he need to go? I mean, what is it?
How is he going to teach his peace and harmony when he can't even get them to stop attacking?
He can't even decide what moods he's in from one second. One second he's like, woe is me, I want to die. The next, he's like, yeah, I'd rather be alone. Get out of here.
Hey, you got a lot to cover in 20 minutes there, I think.
You're exactly right. And you know what? We get a Rickism, which is a perfectly wonderful way to close this episode, which is everything has good in it. You just need to look for it. Yep. So that was very nice. Any closing thoughts on episode 9, which is our halfway point in our journey this week?
I thought it was one of the deepest ones they've had. I mean, we've had a lot of the dad, like you said, the Rickisms. We've had a lot of those, message moments, Davy and Goliath moments. But this one this was the one that was done by Walter, right? I don't know. The one with Enoch was the one with Walter Koenig. So I think this might have been Dean Steinmetz, who was also part of the Star Trek team. Oh, and by the way, Walter Edmondson was in at least one Star Trek episode, the original series. Of course he was. Yeah,
exactly. So, I thought that these were 2 back-to-back really meaty, deep episodes. I think that these were cool. And now we get to one that's a little bit more frivolous, but sweet. And it's episode 10, The Paku Who Came to Dinner.
Okay, can I preface with, and Sharon, feel free to jump on or not on this, but as a female, I was a bit offended by this episode.
I think I wrote in the text, I just watched episode 10 and vomited.
You did! And I didn't remember what episode 10 was at the time, because
I was like, what the hell is this episode?
So focusing on manners, but really, we're doing the whole girl becoming a lady.
Where did she get lipstick and perfume from? You do not bring that with you on a river,
on your expedition,
whatever. She pulled it out of her ass out of nowhere. And I don't know about you, but perfume gives me a most vile headache. And I don't know what any animal who comes up to anybody with perfume is like, oh my God, that smells so good. Like, it doesn't. It's so offensive. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I hated this episode. It was
well, Gina Tay, from the 70s. Don't forget that Gina Tay. That was some pretty heavy stuff there.
Wait,
there were so many perfume.
What's Gina Tay?
It's like an after bath splash. I used to
Welcome to the 70s and Herbal Essence. Jeff, you can take
What about?
I remember Herbal Essence. Wait a second, I remember Angele too. I remember I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, but never, ever, ever.
That was 80s.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, 80s?
And she became pretty famous. Wasn't it like Shelley Hack or one of the Angels? One of after the first 4 Charlie's Angels? I don't know.
Oh,
yeah, I think she was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But it's just, the whole cosmetics for the 10-year-old on the expedition, it was a little much. It was a little
Agreed.
much.
I think all anybody really needs to know about the 70s is that in the 70s, Dudley Moore was a sex symbol for women.
Yep.
Dudley Moore was a sex symbol for women. That's all you need to know about the 70s right there in one sentence, and somehow got Bo Derek. Okay. So, and it was so charming that so much chemistry that they did more than one movie together. All right.
And they did a flashback.
Tell us about the flashback.
My notes. What?
Tell us about the flashback.
Oh. You know what? I don't remember. I wrote notes. I love how they sit around casually watching dinosaurs, but I forgot. What were they? They were just kind of hanging out watching the dinosaurs? Is that...
Yeah.
I don't know why I wrote that.
I'll get you there. Let me frame. Let me frame the beginning. So they're sitting on the high bluff. They've got binoculars, and they're sort of switching, alternating who gets to see the binoculars. And it's very hot outside. And Holly points out that she's envious of the swamp because they're in water. And that's where you see the dinosaurs, and that's sort of why what they're talking about. And then we get several Rickisms, actually. I took down 2 of them. And Rick says, I don't think we'd want to be in the swamp. It looks pretty damp. Which is exactly why she wants to be in the swamp. And then he says, grumpy. Not exactly my idea of a welcome wagon. So then we get a third. See, I just lied. I said I took down 2. I took down a third. Emily's home isn't exactly her castle, but she does have a built-in moat. So very careful. Again, water seems to be like the place that the predators can't get into. They just cannot possibly step in water. So
sounds like a cat.
Yeah, right. The Tyrannosaurus and the Allosaurus are cats, basically, yes. And not tigers either. Tigers and jaguars go into the water, others don't, if they can avoid it. So Grumpy gives up, so Rick was a prophet here. Dopey is safe. And then we get a whole recap of the Dopey relationship with Holly. It was like cool training scenes from like Rocky IV. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is the flashback. So I wrote cool training scenes because that was a joke that me and my friends had in the 80s. Because you'd see like, Bloodsport and Rocky and like every movie where the hero like had a setback, then you'd see the training scenes. And I had one particular friend, I hope he's listening, Mike Lehman, if you're listening, he would say cool training scenes. And so that became a joke whenever he said something. We go, yeah, cool training scenes. Like if you made us watch a bad movie. All right. So Will and Holly are going shopping for dessert. But be careful. The Pakuni observe Dopey's stubbornness in pulling the cart. And Will falls down as he's trying to pull the cart instead of Dopey. And Chaka laughs at Will's misfortune. All 3 of them push the cart. They get Chaka to help them out. And it finally moves. Holly kisses Chaka. And then she gives him a flower. And he eats it. So they unhitch Dopey. He's free and off he goes. And look, Rick cooked dinner. Well, that's great. And you know what? What a coincidence. A pan-cultural cross-species coincidence. That dinner actually means eat in Pakuni. So Chaka is invited for dinner.
I actually made a note on that. They were like, what'd you have for dinner? And did he say it's a special native dish?
Yes, he did.
Did he say that?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Like, native.
Yeah, well, it is the 70s, so, give a slight pass, but it is noteworthy. And
it's like every other episode, they only have carrots to eat for dinner, but today...
That's right.
They have enough variety to make a special native dish.
Yes, and have we forgotten the first episode where it ends with the Pakuni bringing them like a giant trove of different kinds of fruits and vegetables? Like the mouse didn't steal all of that.
They're like in the tropics somewhere. There's 1,000 different things that they could be eating. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, this is what got you guys really annoyed. And it even got me annoyed because I typed here, Holly puts on makeup and perfume, 4 question marks, WTF question mark.
Oh my God, I wrote that too. I wrote makeup and perfume, 3 question marks, and I wrote WTF, and a whole bunch of question marks.
Like who?
Put on lipstick and perfume.
Like aside from the fact of getting dolled up is as you pointed out, sexism and a trope, even if it's not.
Who's she getting dolled up for?
Exactly. Who's she getting dolled up for? Chaka? Her choices are Chaka, her father, her brother.
Right. Or a dinosaur.
Or a child dinosaur. Or Dopey. Right. And
the old guy.
Yeah. And none of the 3, except for Chaka, have ever caused her to even consider getting made up before. And she sees them pretty much daily. So it had to be Chaka, right? So, listen, maybe this is how, maybe this is how the Neanderthals and the Homo sapiens first interacted. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure who's who in this case. We get a Rickism that I'm sure you guys loved. I think you even alluded to it earlier, where Rick goes, "Our little girl is growing up to be a lady." Please, 3, 2, 1, take it.
Yeah. It's. Yeah. All right. Fine.
Right. Okay.
I wrote, "Oh, I'm gonna vomit. He's smelling her."
Okay, so
Did anybody else notice that?
Yes, because
Dad just started in, grabbed his food. No one said anything to him. Why are they telling Chaka that he can't just eat?
Right, it's like
Chaka doesn't know what they're talking about.
It's like the male lion. Well, we've already established the Pikuni seem to understand English, or at least Chaka does. But they served chicken. The trap worked. They served chicken. They were serving meat. And
that was the native dish.
I guess so. They couldn't.
And it looked like it was Kentucky Fried Chicken, looked like it was shake and bake or whatever.
Well, was Jefferson Colley III a colonel? Do we know his rank?
I don't know.
Maybe it was the colonel's famous chicken. Boom, boom. So they had a little debate about manners, and this is something that I noticed. They said grace, but it's not grace. They said magi.
Oh.
Did you hear that? They said.
I didn't even hear.
Oh yeah, they said.
I don't remember that.
They joined hands and they said magi instead of grace.
Oh.
Very,
well done.
very spiritual. So they were going to take a garbage run and throw out the trash, which I've never seen them do before, and they're interrupted by Grumpy. So they drop the trash, and Grumpy eats the trash. So it seems to me that...
Pretty effective.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you just leave the trash for Grumpy to eat all the time, keep Grumpy fed, and he'll leave you alone? No? Nobody? Nobody else sees this?
Well, I'm shaking my head. You can't hear me?
Yeah.
But actually, yeah.
Yeah.
But not only that, it's like, with a bear, you would want to throw it away from you.
Well,
right, not close to you.
Well, they could do that, too.
And listen, how much trash do they really have? What kind of trash do they have?
They're eating 3 meals a day. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. They created a lot of trash. Well, they haven't lost any weight. They look exactly the same. I mean, occasionally Will's shirt button pops open, but aside from that, everything else seems to be the same. So this is...
Can I ask a question about their clothes?
You never have to ask if you can ask a question.
So I feel like you ask all of these random questions that we don't have any answers to. So this is like, I just have these random questions. So when do they do their laundry? And I'm only asking because they seem to have these random rules, like, manners, chores. So when are they doing their laundry? You can't wear the same thing every single day, sleep in it, wear it all the time. And also, wouldn't you think that you would go out there and try and figure out how to make different clothes so that you could look for different materials so that you could make different clothes so that you don't have to wear the same thing every day? So that's something that's bothered me.
Yes.
I'm going to Steve Irwin explanation.
Okay.
What?
Steve Irwin wore the same outfit all the time, whether he was swimming on land, in the desert, and they do hop in the water periodically.
Well, but this one, in defense of Steve Irwin, just because he's wearing the same outfit doesn't mean it's the same actual clothes.
I know.
I mean, he probably has like 42 of the same outfit. I mean, it's different. I don't know the answers to those, and those are all excellent questions. Apparently, they must wash in cold because there's no shrinkage.
Do they brush their teeth? Like, do they take baths? Inquiring minds want to know.
I don't know. I imagine that they would smell pretty bad. Maybe that's why.
When you watch a cartoon and the people wear this, like the Flintstones, they wear the same clothes all the time. You don't think about it because it's a cartoon, so it's like, so I don't care.
I think about that.
These are people, and whatever. You could continue. I'm sorry. I just wanted to. I had to put that out there.
Well, maybe they saw the two alternate outfits that were being sold in the Land of the Lost. They saw Jefferson's outfit and Enoch's Fred Flintstone-like tunic, and they were not impressed with the choices. or just the Sleestak belts.
I would want to go out and I would want to try and make something cute, some leaves, or I don't know.
Yeah, no, I would rock the Enoch tunic. I just want to put that on the record right now. So,
yeah, where did he get that from? The other ones don't wear clothes.
I assume from Party City. So they go to bed, and Rick tucks in Chaka, which I found to be a little bit endearing. And then Rick immediately ruins it by saying he has to return to his own people in the morning. Why? Why does he have to return to his own people? And what is with him always pushing Chaka away? What's Chaka ever done except help?
That was my point for the last episode.
It was a good point.
Why don't they let Chaka stay with them?
Just because I try to counter doesn't mean I don't accept it's a good point. We're here to have conversation and discuss. So Chaka is afraid of the dark. Why? Where exactly does he sleep where there's lights typically? Doesn't he sleep outside? And, I know that they only just learned how to harness fire from the brave and intrepid marshals, but well, actually, that's not a but. They only just learned how to harness fire, so wouldn't he have been sleeping in the dark for prior, the rest of his entire life?
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. And where the hell did they get that thing? And what is it working on? Does it need a battery? Pulled out of their ass. Same thing where they got the perfume and the lipstick. Just doesn't make sense.
That's exactly right.
I'm gonna call sleepover, Saturday morning show, being nice to your guest with the manners.
Oh, I thought you were going to go a different direction, that if you were a parent and your kid was having a sleepover, you would want someone else to reinforce the fact that the friend needs to go home. They can't just stay with you forever. Your friend can sleep over.
That was never an issue. I've had many sleepovers where I've had to call the parents up in the middle of the night because the kid was scared and didn't want to, and wanted to go home, didn't want to stay.
I feel like I'm going down a path that I don't want to go down at this point.
But I never had a kid who never wanted to leave.
See, Erin knows what I'm talking about. Sharon, God bless her innocence, does not. So we're just going to move on from here. So Chaka is smelling the perfume, and Holly gives Chaka a lecture on good perfume, which I was hysterical during. Obviously, this offended the two of you, so I don't want to diminish that. I just thought it was really, really funny. So I know you touched on it earlier, but does it still get your ganders up?
Well, and no boundaries. And this is where I'm going to call Chaka tease, because she's not, we've already determined there's nobody else for her to show up for. And Chaka's all up in her business, and she's completely fine with it. She's eating along. He's getting chastised for manners for grabbing food, but you can get all up in my grill. That's just fine. Sniffing me up and down. So I'm going to call Chaka tease.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, so before breakfast, Holly has to go get the water. She has to go solo for whatever reason, even though they have a guest. And then Chaka's tribe comes running over. So it's Ta and Sa, and they've got spears, which I don't remember them having before. They want Chaka to go home, but Chaka doesn't want to go home. And Ta and Sa misinterpret this to think that Chaka is being held hostage, which is really strange because apparently they have no memory of all the good times they've had together, tricking Grumpy, etc. So Grumpy comes and roars, and he's in the distance, and they know Grumpy's coming, and we get a Rickism. Grumpy can't get too far without getting tired. The nice thing about Grumpy is that he's so clumsy you can hear him 2 miles away. We've never seen Grumpy get tired before. What is this all about? And Grumpy's clumsy? Does he fall down a bit? I haven't seen Grumpy fall down before. No?
Maybe he's not stealthy. Maybe it was a choice of words.
All right. Well, we know it's Rick, and we know that he's a closet heel, and he's misdirecting even maybe his own kids. So Holly's intercepted by Ta and Sa, and they decide to take her prisoner. She doesn't really seem too concerned about it, and she whenever Holly is confronted with strangers, she does feel the need to lecture them about manners, and that's what she does here too. So she lectures them about manners, and she never really seems to be in fear. She runs away. They give chase right into Grumpy's path. Instantly, they go to the old split-up routine where they go in different directions, and Grumpy can't decide which way to go. So, like a true predator who needs to eat, Grumpy just gives up and walks away. So,
I have a question.
Please.
So, is this? Did you already pass the part where they capture her, and are they sniffing her around too? Like that's why they capture her, because they're sniffing her around.
Well,
was that part?
At the beginning. At the beginning, it seems like it might be to hold her, but then they seem to get a whiff, and Taz
To me, I feel like all three of them are almost like entranced by the perfume. Like, but I wrote down what she said. She was like, "Oh, you like the way I smell?" Almost like she's enjoying all the attention that she's getting from wearing perfume and how everyone's so attracted to her. Like she's a flower and all the bees want her. And she is enjoying this thing. And she goes, I don't know if this passed yet or if we didn't get up to it yet, but she was like, "You like the way I smell? Wish I could say the same about you two." That's the best line in the whole show because it was just so funny.
No, it was great. Holly is great. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say they probably never smelled perfume before.
That they kidnapped her, that it had to do with the perfume, that they wanted her smell, because then she gives her coat to them, and they're all over her coat.
See, that makes sense, but earlier on, it certainly seemed like they took her hostage because they thought Chaka was held hostage, and I guess maybe they were going to effect a trade, or it was just simple animal revenge. I'm not really sure. But they found Holly, and then Ta, fireman, carried her away. We then cut to Will, who gave us Willisms, and he said 2 things you need to remember in the land of the lust. Don't interrupt Grumpy, 1, while he's eating, and 2, don't interrupt Holly. So that was interesting. Then we noted a storm is coming. So there is thunder in the land of the lost. So why was Chaka so afraid of it a few episodes ago? Anyway, Chaka leads them to Holly because he smells the perfume. So he's caught onto the scent. Now, I don't know if it's because the Pakuni have a stronger sense of smell than the humans, or the humans used to perfume and it never dawned on them. Whatever it was, let's just go with the stronger sense of smell. And it's Rick that puts 2 and 2 together. The perfume is sort of driving the Pakuni crazy. And then Holly, with Ta and Sa, who are not exactly being very nice to her, she invokes the Geneva Conventions.
I know.
It's absolutely fabulous. And then we see that they have a fenced-in compound with like 12-foot walls.
Right. And see, when you were talking about him not sleeping in the dark, if that's their compound where they're staying, they've just got a fence.
Yeah, there's no roof. And even so, there was no lighting inside it, but I mean, so that doesn't, deal with the thunder or the dark, but they build things? The Pakuni build them? So it's not very useful because when Grumpy gets there, he just knocks through it like it's nothing. So I don't know why they built it. I don't know who it was protecting them from. Maybe other Pakuni, maybe the Sleestak, but certainly not the dinos. So as it turns out, what happened is that Holly spilt the perfume on her jacket. So most of the perfume is on the jacket, and they just figure out to leave the jacket, and the Pakuni get to keep the jacket, and they can smell the perfume, and they're not really interested in Holly at all. Everything is all right. Chaka gives Holly a flower. She reciprocates and takes a bite out of it and points out that, this tastes okay. And they all have a good chuckle like the end of the Super Friends. There's laughs all around. So that brings us to episode 11, The Search, which, by the way, was another good episode. Very, very meaty. I noted that there were 4 important points. There was Will's selflessness, Enoch's law. Rick finally acknowledged that the kids were pretty self-sufficient, and they learned some crystal functionality. So we start up with Alice. She's pretty worked up outside the Lost City. The marshals are out of light crystals, so they're going to go collect some more crystals, so they have to go to the Lost City. But then Will spots something in the jungle. Will also says that men are tougher than girls, so I'm sure that got the 2 of you really irritated.
Wait, I have a question. Because I think I'm confused. You just said that they went back to collect more crystals?
Yep.
What were they using the crystals for? I mean, the only thing I remember her using the crystals was to ward off the dinosaur.
Well, that's a pretty good purpose. I think they also use them for light at night. But no, we haven't seen them use the crystals for many purposes except to scare off the dinosaurs. But that seems like a good one. Maybe they're continuing their experiments to control time and space.
Is this where they found the crystal trees?
Yeah,
Well, for rocks, yeah.
Yeah, they found crystals embedded in rock walls that Will saw for the first time. So were they there before, or were they placed there by the architects? We may never know.
Oh yeah, that's where I felt like I was watching Sesame Street when he's like, "What happens if we put this and this together?"
That's exactly right. And
but I'm jumping ahead, right?
A little bit.
Okay.
But it's just weird that, now they don't have to go to the Lost City to find crystals, but we already knew that because they could have gone to Jefferson Colley's cave system and gotten crystals there as well. It's not like there's other places. To think that they couldn't have tried to find other cave systems to look for crystals never occurred to them. I don't know. That maybe that should have been one of Rick's chores. Anyway.
I was also thinking that, to me, if I lived there, I would have been curious what's beyond the immediate area where they are. Like, I feel like I would have gone out exploring more just to see if there was, like, someplace better or safer or, I don't know.
Well,
but I guess they just really want to get out of there, which is true.
Well, they took the river journey once to try and find an ocean, and they realized that they were basically in a giant circle.
Big circle, yeah.
True.
But that doesn't mean you give up and don't try to look for other ways. Maybe it was just a circle on that side, not on others. I mean, this place has doors.
Why did Will know Enoch? Why? I didn't understand why he assumed that Enoch was still at the Lost City.
I do not know why he assumed that.
Yeah, because didn't he? Yeah, when the other, I didn't get that either because I thought that he left.
I did too.
And went to his own time thing at the end of the first episode when they met him.
Yeah,
right,
no. I mean, my assumption would have been that Enoch had already found his way out. I mean,
yeah, that's what.
By that time, yeah, that was abrupt. But we're getting just a tad ahead of ourselves. They hear the noise. They immediately assume it's Enoch coming through the time doorway. So if Enoch got out to warn his people, why would he come back? I mean, why would they assume that it's Enoch coming through the time doorway was my first thing. But they did, which I guess explains what you just posed before. It doesn't make any more sense, but it does explain why Will would think that Enoch is there. So they decide to experiment with crystal combinations, and they almost blow themselves up. And then Rick says, hey, you just can't fool around with that stuff. And then he proceeds to do exactly the same thing, and he electrocutes himself, which I
could not stop laughing.
I couldn't either. I'm like, what a moron. This is exactly what you deserve, you friggin' tool.
But again, it's not the first time that they've been around crystals. Like, out of nowhere, they're going to sit and do crystal combinations, and it seemed like it was as if the first time that they were using crystals, and they've had them the whole time. Like, I didn't get it.
Yes.
I didn't get that whole scene.
And they've been educated.
All of a sudden, he got electrocuted.
Right, and they've been educated in some of the uses to make the flash grenades, to make limited force field, to make light. I mean, they've gotten some lessons on this, but the big takeaway for me is Rick's telling them, kids, stop fooling around with that stuff. He starts fooling around with them, and he almost kills himself, which was awesome. So the kids can't move him, and Rick can sort of speak, so he sends them home to go to safety alone. So Rick is being selfless, which is nice, but he is being foolish, which is not so nice, but awesome all at the same time. So Will is going to go get Enoch. So that was what you were asking about. Will evades Alice again by hiding behind the rocks and in the rocks, and he makes it to the Lost City. It's sort of like a little obstacle course. Holly somehow was able to get Rick to the high bluff. So once again, Holly, the intrepid hero, how she got that big lug in there. She's going to use the basket to get him into the cave, but she can't lift him. So Rick tells her to use a counterbalance, which is not a bad idea, except I've never seen them have two baskets before. They had two baskets? No one.
And I didn't know that little rinky-dink basket could hold his dead weight.
Well, apparently it could.
And I kind of figured if he could climb his ass into that basket, then you could climb the stairs up to get into your cave.
You would think.
Actually, I was kind of impressed with the kid form of rolling into that basket. I mean, that was not exactly smooth that Rick was doing.
Yeah.
It looked like what little kids are trying to get out of their cribs.
Now, I have to tell you a true story, and it might have been psychosomatic in this case, but you guys may know I have rheumatoid arthritis, so every now and then I have flare-ups. So a couple weeks back, I had a terrible flare-up in my left foot, and it got to the point where I couldn't walk. So I was crawling around like Rick. I was like James Caan in Misery. All I needed was Kathy Bates chasing me around with a hammer, and it would have been exactly that. So I felt for him in that case. And it was right around the same time, so I think maybe it's their fault that happened.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, so woe was me at times. So she fills the second basket, which I don't know why I'm the only one who is amazed that they have a second basket, and where is it kept?
No, it was.
How did she keep it?
He got in the basket, and then there's two. And how he's half dead, but he can tell her how to counter.
Use a counterbalance.
He's half dead, but then he always,
And he climbs into the basket. He managed to flop into the basket, but where are they storing this extra basket? How big is that cave? Is it like Felix the Cat's bag of tricks? It's like just endless, and they wrap like Captain Caveman's fur where he can pull anything out of it?
Hermione's bag, the magic bag.
Exactly right, Hermione. That's a much more current reference. So, all right, so she piles a bunch of rocks in there. She shoves the other basket down, and it lifts Rick's basket up. Great, very, very ingenious. At the same time, Grumpy gets distracted by prey anyway, so everybody wins. Rick doesn't remember much, but he knows that he needs to get Will. He notes that Holly is just as headstrong as her mother, and then he waxes poetically about his wife, her mother, and Holly seems surprised that Rick says, she's beautiful just like you'll be. So, ladies, I know this is more of the misogyny built into Will, the sexism built into Rick, rather, sorry, into the 70s. So take it. Come on. Throw some shots.
I got nothing.
Yeah, nothing. All right. Fine.
No, I mean, just because I'm just incredibly disgusted. So I just, there's just nothing to add.
Disgust is something. How about you, Sharon?
I don't know. I just thought it was a weird interaction between the two. I don't know that I was so offended by that. The perfume, that was ridiculous. But this, I don't know that it was just a weird interaction, but I don't know that I was offended by it. What's offensive about him telling his daughter she's going to be as beautiful as the mother?
Okay. All right. There you go. See, I don't understand all these things. I'm just a Neanderthal myself. So we cut to...
clarify, the interaction between him being practically out of it and babbling about, Mom and complimenting Holly. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. It's just the whole, when you take that episode that we just got off of with the whole makeup and perfume and all that kind of stuff, and then flipping off onto the whole you're going to be beautiful. When you put the two of them together, because I watched them right back to back, that's what made me feel disgusted about the theme. I don't have a problem with the interaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got Will in the caves. Enoch is still there, and he notes that Will has arrived at a critical moment. He is about to finalize the interdimensional doorway, so that's very important. He's not to be disturbed because he must concentrate on the precise sequence. The time doorway only opens for a short time, and if he doesn't go through now, he'll never get another chance. So Will points out that they need the help now. Enoch seems unmoved. Will points out that they helped him, and then Will tries to rush him, but Enoch uses the Force to propel him back. Enoch says, "You helped me because I forced you. It wasn't an obligation." Enoch has a choice, and he chooses to return home. That's sort of fair. That's true. And then we cut back from this impasse to Holly being upset that Grumpy is back. It's unclear why she's particularly upset about him being back now. He's always there, and he always comes at the wrong time. She properly uses the crystals to scare Grumpy off, so no electrocution there. Rick passes out, and Holly cries over that. Cut back to Will. A lot of cutting back and forth in this episode. Will pleads with the selfish Enoch. The dimensional doorway opens to display different times, and it stops in Will's time. Enoch, now being selfless, urges Will to go through the door now. He can only hold it open a few seconds. And Will's like, I can't leave my family behind. And Enoch thinks that Will is trying to shame him. Is this your law?
What?
And Will goes, no, that's just the way humans live. And then Enoch points out that he must show as much self-control as Will does, because that's his law and his people's way of life. So he says, show me to the cave. So because the Enoch's people, the advanced Sleestaks or the prior Sleestaks from a better age, they must be at least as selfless as whoever's around them, which is a little bit odd.
I have a question about that.
Yeah.
I thought that the whole argument in the previous episode was that he only had one shot at a portal to go back, that the choices were either he could go to his time or they could go to their place, that was the whole argument. And then all of a sudden, now he's offering Earth to Will, and how come he didn't offer it in the other episode? Right?
Agreed.
And then that means that he's sacrificing his portal.
Yeah, no, it was a one-use thing. That was my understanding as well. And now he was being generous by saying,
give it up the first time. How come all of a sudden he's giving it to Will now?
Right.
There was a huge argument about it in the other one.
See, that's what's confusing with this one too, because I didn't see on this where he was being selfless, because it didn't seem to follow that same storyline. Because he said, sit there and watch, and you just watch how it kept going through places, times, and space, and then it stopped. But it didn't seem like he was even going to get a shot at going back to his past. He was going to be stuck in the future, and so he was encouraging Will to go. So it seemed like that whole storyline of, hey, it's a one-shot deal, was right out the window.
Well, that's what Sharon's saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, Enoch was being strangely selfless in that moment, and maybe...
They're hoping that the 8-year-olds didn't remember the previous episode.
Right. And Enoch doesn't seem like the type that would be selfless and say, that's your time, you go, I'm going to give up going back to my own world and warning my people that we're heading down the wrong path and we're going to be dumb barbarian reptiles.
And I thought that he left like 6 episodes ago. And where did he even come from? I still don't even understand that, where he even came from.
And I didn't like, it's a law that we have to be. I didn't initially take it that our law is we have to be as selfless as anyone around us. Which is, mine was, my take on it, especially with his delivery, was, well, I can't allow you to be better than me. That's not okay.
No, he actually said that is our law and that is our way. He was mimicking Will's statement that that's not our law, that's our way. And Enoch was saying, well, he's one-upping him, saying that is our law and that is our way, or that's our way and our law. But yeah, I didn't understand it. And if Will was correct that earlier the noise was Enoch returning from the time portal, why would he have returned at all? I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense, is that Enoch did go back home to his world, did warn his people, I guess convince some of them, but then decide to come back. Why? And figured out he could use the crystals again. But none of that makes sense, because he was working on his very detailed sequence that had to be focused on and concentrated in the right. So none of it makes sense. Even if you try and reverse engineer it to make sense, it still doesn't make sense. So I guess we're getting back to our theme of why, because fuck you. That's why.
Okay.
So Enoch goes to the cave. He diagnoses Rick, and then he heals him with the blue crystals. So we learned the blue crystals have healing properties. And then the balance is restored, and Enoch departs. So Rick is okay, and he notes that both the kids are growing up and can take care of themselves. So finally, Rick learns that lesson. We'll see if that sticks. Nothing else seems to stick. And then that takes us to, I think, maybe the weakest episode in this little batch of 6. Episode 12, The Possession. It starts with the Pakuni eating berries and grapes. To Sharon's point earlier, why didn't the humans find berries and grapes if the Pakuni could? We hear the pylon emitting noise.
Can I say I was eating grapes too? I thought that was so funny. I was like, oh my God, I'm eating grapes also. And mine looks exactly the same. So it's amazing how grapes have not evolved at all. But I guess, right, it's no time in particular. So
well, be careful. if you eat grapes while watching The Land of the Lost and they're eating grapes, that could sweep you right through the portal. You could become lost.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's true. We don't know. We don't know what triggers it.
Happen.
Yeah.
Because then I wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm. And we can't do the next 47,000 episodes without you. So the pylons emitting noise, that attracts our heroes, and they approach gingerly. Our heroes being the Pakuni in this case. Chaka touches the pylon. Now, I really don't know why they haven't approached the pylons and touched them before, since they live there, unless the pylons were somehow activated by the marshals coming to the land. I don't quite understand. It seemed like it was their first time touching active pylons, and even my little scenario doesn't make any sense because the humans have been there for some untold amount of time, but it's certainly, at least days, if not months. So Ta and Sa join in. There's a humming, and I have to say, it seems slightly sexual. Anyone else get that? It seems slightly sexual. Yeah.
Yes, I totally got that.
Yeah, so
why he was, when he's sliding his hands up the pylon, but then all of a sudden he's getting his whole body into it, and he's kind of moaning and humming while he's doing it. It was a little odd.
Yeah. I'm not really a freak that way.
Well, the way he was sniffing Holly was a little.
Yeah, but that's a tweener boy with a tweener girl and perfume. I mean, as creepy as that might have been, at least it makes sense in the world. This was just odd. And then it got even worse for me because we see the moons and they're aligned in a chakra-like pattern vertically, which is also sort of sexual as well.
That's a reach.
Okay, fine. Anyway, the pylon. Listen, I had a few where you guys are like, ooh, so I figured I'd try again. But
why do you think that the moon's like that? Do you mean how they looked?
Yeah, they look like
the symbolism of the first three chakras. Like I don't understand where you're going with that.
The chakras align usually mean that there's energy transference, and energy transference in the Veda and in Hindu and things like the Kama Sutra. It's sort of one and the same. Energy transference from human to human is often aligned with sexuality, sexual congress.
I think you're reaching, but okay.
Of course I'm reaching. This is Garden of Doom. The whole show is based on me reaching. If there's one through line to this entire show, it is me reaching.
Okay.
Yeah. So
what are you reaching for?
I don't know. That when I discover that, then the show's going to end. So it's going to be like Lost. It'll be unsatisfying. It'll be like Jeff was just wrong all along. That's all it'll be. So the pylon handle appears and the diamond-shaped doorway emerges. Chaka goes through, the doorway seals, and then we find the crystal control panel and there's a round orb above it. Chaka is affected by the energy. It's a green light, like the Green Lantern. So again, I'm noting the colors just in case they mean anything.
Right, yep.
So he's transported out of the pylon with sort of like a prodding stick or a wand, and he has sort of blue electric eyes. So he's clearly under something's control. Now, it struck me as strange that the eyes were blue and the light was sort of like a greenish gold. But anyway, he approaches Spike, and you think that the wand is going to do something to scare Spike off, but no, Chaka just turns away and saunters off. But he has no fear, so I guess that's sort of the trance. He walks to the Lost City. We cut to Holly and Dopey. They're going off together grape hunting. Dopey, of course, ate all the strawberries because that's what Dopey does. And Holly again lectures him that it would be polite for Dopey to have left some for us. Dopey seems to be understanding and ashamed of himself, but I don't know that that's going to impact his behavior going forward. So Holly encounters Chaka, and she's not really sure what's going on. She knows that Chaka's acting a little bit weird, and the stick turns Holly green and her eyes too, and then Chaka runs off because he's scared, and now Holly is possessed. Cut to the high bluff. Will notices that something is off, so he's the hero today. Holly shuts down all the crystals with her wand. She shocked Will into unconsciousness, so we have another shocking, impact, 2 episodes in a row. And then she continues her task, leaving the cave. Rick is coming back from a water run, so we finally see that that's at least one of his chores is collecting water like everyone else. We've also seen him cook once. He made the special native meal. I assume he's the one who built all these extra baskets. Maybe, maybe not. He revives Will, and Will explains what happened, and then Will weeps, which is lovely. Because of the shock, he sort of feels the energy, and he can sense her. It's sort of like the Force, so he can sense Holly's presence, and he knows that he can lead Rick to her. Will detects some residual impact on Chaka, so they find Chaka, but they sort of send Chaka home, and Chaka stumbles off a little bit drunk. So drunk Chaka doing the walk of shame, I guess. Cut to Holly. Go into the Lost City.
It looked like that. That's so funny.
It's exactly what it looked like. Listen, I reach sometimes, but sometimes it just is what it is.
Well, if we're reaching and we're talking about the chakras, chaka sounds like chakra. So that might be something there too.
Thank you for joining my train. Thank you. Thank you. It took until episode 12, and then I don't know how many more episodes you're going to have to rejoin it, but thank you for joining the train. At least everyone was there with like the strange, eyes wide shut Caligula-like response that the Pakuni had to the sex obelisk, which
definitely take a lot longer to seep into me.
Yeah, the giant energy emitting phallic symbol. Okay, the giant energy emitting phallus. All right, never mind. Is this a PG show? Fuck no, it's not. All right, so Will somehow knows that Holly's in the Lost City. He also somehow knows that she needs more crystals. The wand seems to need a charge. And the Sleestak won't hurt her as long as she has the wand. Plus, it's dormant season. What? I mean, so much there.
Dormant season comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, I mean...
But the other thing is, and this is, again, a 70s throwback, they call it the wand once. After that, they keep calling it the baton. So Sharon, when we were back in the day, like everybody had a freaking baton.
Yeah.
Everybody had a freaking.
We did. I had one.
Well, right. Everybody had their twirling baton. I can't, and this is talk about digressing. Doing piezo tea and working on fine motor, like that would be fantastic for kids if they were working on that kind of dexterity. I can't remember the last time I saw a baton.
Well,
yeah.
Well, I know the last time I saw batons like this, and it was at Great Wolf Lodge when the kids have to complete the task, and they're like never ending. You have completed this task. You walk by everything, and it drives you absolutely crazy. But the kids love it. I
just thought it was hysterical. That was a common word in the 70s, and it was an object that almost every girl had, and most guys learned how to. Wanted to learn how to do or wanted to do.
Yeah, all guys secretly practice with the batons too, because they wanted to impress the girls to show that they knew how to do it.
Right. Yeah. And then everybody wanted to be the twirler.
Like in a police action.
That's exactly right.
The most recent time I've heard of a baton being used is during a police action.
Ooh, that's true. I was thinking more like races, like the relay races, but yeah, you're right, police actions. But this was a energy, a crystal charged energy baton. So, it was really more of a wand than a baton, but you're right, they changed words sort of willy-nilly. It brings us back to the Majetti, and then what was that thing called? I can't even remember, the divining rod or something like that.
The divining rod of the Majetti, yeah.
Yeah, so they change words whenever they want. But how did he know the Sleestak won't hurt her if she has the wand? He just sensed it from her electric combination. Is it?
Didn't the wand electrocute people?
Well, it possessed them anyway.
Didn't Will get electrocuted?
Yeah.
From it?
And if the Sleestak are there to protect the crystals in the Lost City, why would a wand that takes its charge from the crystals be an exemption? Why would that be your protector? I would think that would be a tool of your enemy.
And yet it came from the pylon.
Okay, now we have to get into dormancies, and because I'm okay with accepting that this knowledge was just imparted to him as one of those, because F you, that's why. That he just knows because of the energy tells him that sort of how Enoch knew that the Sleestak wouldn't bother him, though Slatch was wrong about that. Anyway, but dormant season. Doesn't that imply that they've been there for so many seasons that they've been able to detect a pattern that the Sleestak are gone and it's been repeating, so that they've been there for, many years to, at least 3 or 4 years? Yeah.
Or at least a complete cycle.
At least one. But wouldn't you have to realize that they've been gone for one cycle and then the same cycle at least twice to go, So they'd have to be in the third unless they're super smart, because nobody told them this. So that really bugged me. All right, so
I think they're super smart.
Okay.
I don't really think that they're super smart, but I'm going to
go with that.
I'm going to go with that because they mysteriously know a lot of other stuff that's random that doesn't make sense, and if they know that, then how come they don't know something else?
All right, well, Holly is absorbing crystal charges with her wand, baton, whatever we want to call it, her divining stick, including the control panel that Enoch was using. The time doorway may be lost to them. So, I don't know. Enoch's not around this episode. Where did he go? Did he already use it? How do they know he didn't? Maybe it's expired again. It was, again, only supposed to be a one-way trip, which, again, points to some of the inconsistencies from last episode. Rick tries to reason with her, but she shocks him. So for the second episode in a row, Rick is making more shitty decisions and gets himself electrocuted. And I am all for him. I'm all in. I'm totally on board with this. Okay. Nothing from the panel. So
before that they got electrocuted from the thing.
Well, good. But you can say it, but it is radio.
Huh?
It's radio.
He got electrocuted. Right? Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
Booyah! Erin, what are you saying?
No, I mean, it's, you would think somebody who was shocked so badly that they couldn't move would be a little more hesitant before they'd go jumping in there to get another whack.
You would think.
And not only that, but I feel like then you would be more sensitive. Like, he's still coming out, like, there still would be residual effects of the first shock, and wow, now to get a second shock, I feel like he should have had some brain damage going on there.
Well, maybe he did, and that's exactly why he couldn't remember not to get shocked a second time.
Yeah, there you go.
So Will revives Rick, which is probably his first mistake, and they go in pursuit. We cut to Holly, who encounters Chaka, and Rick and Will, they get there in the nick of time, and they stop her from shocking Chaka. And then Will, he takes water from Chaka and he pours it on Holly. Now, let's just point out that they got shocked. That implies electricity. Water and electricity usually leads to bad combinations, right? Like instant, death.
Yeah, like being in a swamp when it's lightning outside.
Exactly right. So I guess here that's not applicable. Water is the safe haven. Water is the source of life. Gaia, Maya, all of that. The sweet goddess gives, and it works. This unpossesses her. She cries. She remembers what happens. She knows that the pylon needs more power. And Will goes, the pylon has always been friendly. And Rick points out with a Rickism, not friendly, just not unfriendly. Don't assume anything. And I type, now he's making sense? So Rick seems to know that they need to destroy whatever this thing is in the pylon. I don't know how he knows this, but he just seems to know it. Rick seems to intuit a bunch of things quite a bit. So they go into the pylon. The doorway was already open for them, like it was waiting for them, which I think Will points out. That green ball of light is there. Holly and Will flank the crystal board, and they turn it in formation. Rick realizes that this is odd and that they're in trances. Nevertheless, Rick somehow knows to remove the crystals from the matrix, which is, I guess, what they're calling the control board now. Before the
I felt that whole scene was very Wizard of Oz.
It was very Wizard of Oz. This whole thing is very Wizard of Oz. And yes, and this is very much so, right down to where a voice says, "Stop. He is the great and powerful."
Yeah. Right.
He wants power. He is the sleeper who is awakened. He is the keeper of the pylons, destined to rule all. I mean, a lot of grandiosity, a whole lot of pompous statements, and Rick disputes his power and his rights. Very, hippy-dippy-ish stuff. It was a nice little argument. And the great and powerful, instead of like smiting them dead or something, he just says, "Stop." And then he uses the kids who are possessed to plead with Rick. Rick turns off the power source and the great and to the great and powerful. And the great and powerful apparently is not so mouthy now. So not so great and powerful at all. Very Oz-like indeed. The kids revive.
Very bully. Like he was, all talk and no, he was counting on him just being like bullying them into submission. And Rick's like yelling back at him. How like a bully doesn't expect someone to stand up to them.
That's exactly right.
He just totally stands up to him. He's just like, "You can't tell us what to do," and he was getting all pissy.
That's exactly right. Now, this is the third person that they've encountered that's been all-knowing and all-powerful in some way or another and has been wrong. So, again, threes. Remember the magic three. So a face forms in the orb, and it looks like one of Enoch's people. How they knew it wasn't Enoch, I don't know, but it looks like one of Enoch's people, not Enoch. Now, I remember this as a kid. I'm like, but that is Enoch. So we're not sure, but apparently not Enoch. And then Rick says, maybe they're the builder of the pylons, but we'll never know for sure. Why? Why will they never know for sure? Why can't they find the answer to this just like anything else? Why is he all of a sudden Slatch the Fatalist?
Actually, I love that Slatch the Fatalist.
Well, I'm glad that you like that. That's good.
I just wrote down that Rick yelled at him, "Nobody has the right to rule anyone."
No, it was great. I mean, yeah, Rick was in full Rickitudes today. He was in full Rickamortis. So that was the end of episode 12, which brings us to the end of our episodes that we're reviewing today. Obviously, we will go forward and continue to, play it by ear, planning on at least 6, which will take us into the beginnings of season 2. But if they start to get a little bit more fluffy, more the Pakuni who came to dinner, or the Paku who came to dinner, and less the album, maybe we can move a little bit faster. But we don't need to decide that now, and it seems like we are going to be delayed by at least 1 week, because obviously we can't do Mother's Day, and the 18th doesn't work for 2 of our Intrepid panel, and I'm not willing to do that because that's going to lead to permanent departures from the panel, which is, I'm too clever to let that happen. So we will reconvene at some point in May, maybe early June if we need to, but hopefully in May, and we'll see at least 6 episodes then. Any parting thoughts for the audience? Nope? Neither of you? Anything that you want to promote? Anything you want to plug? We already talked about Sharon commended to us that Kiss the Ground Netflix movie, which was quite good. Anything else out there?
Biggest Little Farm, that was a good one too.
The Biggest Little Farm. Where can people find that?
Hulu.
Okay, Hulu. All right, and if you want to hear...
I also just want to say I'm a permaculture student.
Mm-hmm.
There's a big difference.
Okay, well, listen, I'm trying to pump you up and make you into an expert here.
Yeah, no, I know, but I don't like to be pumped up.
Sharon does not like to be pumped up. We understand. All right, very good. Well, you're going to hear more from Sharon. I think, what is it, the 28th that we've decided upon?
I don't have that date in front of me.
All right. Well, it's around then.
For some reason I can't look it up while we're in this video chat.
But I can.
Okay.
Yep, the 23rd. It's Sunday the 23rd is when you're booked for your solo show. And audience, you may or may not hear from her before that, depending on when our next group chat is. But
we actually might have to change that because I'm going away that weekend. I'm sorry.
Kids. See what I have to deal with here? It's all right. We'll figure it out. We're not editing this out because we're going to treat it like it's live. All right, audience. Hope you enjoyed our non-routine expedition. Obviously, just like the Marshalls, this is taking unexpected travails and crevasses for me as well as your brave host. I'm the Holly here. I'm the hero, and I'm being thwarted by my brother and my father, and that would be Erin and Sharon. We're doing a little gender reversal here, but apparently gender's not a thing anymore, so that's cool. We're all up to date with that stuff too here in the Garden of Doom because everything is fluid in the garden. So say goodbye to the nice folks.
Bye. Ciao.
All right. You will all see us again soon. Okay, we've said goodbye to our all-star panel. This week, 3 was the magic number. You've also heard some of the scheduling issues that occur when booking a show and when you're your own producer. But I assure you, it'll all be resolved, and this is nothing new in this world. It's just new that you heard it. But not a problem. I always have a plan A and a plan B. And the goal is to not have a solo show unless I feel strongly about actually having one, unlike last week, where that was sort of like my plan D. But I'm always prepared for that as well. Anyway, we have a bunch of interviews coming up and a bunch of shows booked. Some really cool guests, I think anyway, about a diversity of topics, which is one thing you can count on here is diversity. So anyway, I think this has been a pretty long show. I know it has. It's 2.5 hours. So see you soon. Thanks for coming into the garden.
Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition met the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft and plunged them down 1,000 feet below to the land of the lost. Come on, get out of here! Move! Come on! Come on, Holly, let's go! To the land